Welcome to Benno and Hamflett In Your House, a podcast reviewing WWE's iconic new generation B shows in the order from the bust back to the boom. I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Benno. I'm Michael. It's In Your House 8. It's Beware of Dog. And we're here at the Florence Civic Center in Florence, South Carolina. Oh, wait, no, we're not. We're in the North Charleston Coliseum in North Charleston, South Carolina. Still South Carolina. We're all over the place this week, just like we were on that last episode of the Housekeeping, mate. How's it?
Yeah. It's going all right, mate. I'm pleased to report that the weather in Gateshead today is actually quite sunny. I don't know how it's going in Vietnam, but I've checked. I've been on the roof before we started recording. I've checked the satellites, I've checked the cables, I've checked the wiring, and it's not going to be like that one we recorded earlier this year where our podcast studio roof caved in because of a flood. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're not like... Yeah, well, I'm hoping that by reviewing this show, we're not, like tempting fate. Like we're almost mocking the Fed in 1996. One of us is going to find ourselves with like a roof caving in halfway through or something.
Hopefully you rather than me. No offense, because I feel like you could take care of it. Whereas here, the roof could come in. I could have all kinds coming in. Little gecko lizards I've seen knocking about in Vietnam. Not too many soy dogs in Vietnam, to be fair, for you to be worried about. Few dogs. People just let the pets out here. It's weird. Like I said to you on Housekeeping, it's a bit like when back in the day, my nan and granddad street where they just let the dog out. It's kind of like that here, but it's like these like posh dog. Everyone's got like these miniature like dogs that'd be expensive in the UK, and they just let them out. It's just like, the dog needs to go out. He can go walk himself. 3 a.m, they'll just be like this expensive like corgi just knocking around the street. Like if this was Liverpool, that dog would be gone. It'd be stolen. So yeah, if a roof comes through, who knows what's up there? There could be all kinds.
This is related to one of our favourites from this podcast series, but I saw a tweet just today from Shawn Waltman, and he was out walking his dog, and the dog is playing, and inverted commas for those that aren't watching us on YouTube, playing with a coyote. And like I've learned now, obviously, that you're supposed to say "go away, coyote" when one comes near you, but he's having a laugh. I know like X-Pac hung around with Road Dogg a lot, so he's aware of like terrible company that are probably trying to like take from him. But I saw this coyote. I thought that wants to eat your dog, not play with it. But people just treat things differently to us. Like in the UK, we've only got like whatever it is. Is it badgers or otters or something to worry about? We're not exactly an apex predator nation, are we? Yeah.
Like a spider or something like that. Like I literally, I'm in this, and we'll talk about it probably more in Housekeeping. I'm in this lovely area, B&B in Da Nang, Vietnam, amazing beach town, great weather. Unfortunately, with the hot climate comes, a very different kind of setup when it comes to the insects and the like. I did find that a little, I've called him Gordon, a little gecko who was knocking around in my room in here. But the more I Googled it, and the more I looked it up on Reddit, it was just like, no, leave him be. He's the best thing you could possibly have, because he will take care of any other problems you have there. If you have any other insects, you have anything else turning up. If you haven't seen any other insects, Gordon's probably the reason. So he's like my little guard dog now / my little pet. So works out really well.
So what you're saying is that by the time the next podcast rolls around, you're going to have your own Mr. Iguana gimmick, and you're going to be like just flicking him up onto your shoulder, and he's going to do the rest of the podcast with you from up here.
Give him a little grapple hat. It could work. Apparently, it gets over. That's what I've learned from the last week or so. But yeah, little learning curve really of living out here. It's the price you've got to pay for the hot climate, but loving life so far. You're gonna get us a copyright strike here, Benno, because you know as well as I do that Grappling Gordon Gecko appears on like In Your House 12. He's an occupational zookeeper, isn't he? That's the last thing we need is him becoming part of your entourage there. It would not shock me. He'd be fit in with TL Hopper and Techno Team 2000 and all the other great ideas of the mid-90s. But obviously we've joked around it there. But yeah, I guess we had our own Beware of Dog / Beware of Soy Dog on the Housekeeping one last time, where we did actually end up recording that one in two and making it work. But yeah, it's hard to talk. But we're going to talk about the ongoing story as we go through this. But it's like I was even collating the stats to put this one together, and it's like there might as well be 2 free-for-alls. There's 2 lots of attendance. There's 2 lots of pay-per-view numbers. Luckily, there's only one VHS, but I don't know. Should we give people a primer of what they should expect with this one? Like with the version, I guess we both watched. I did manage to get my Netflix work, and that has been good over in Vietnam. So I've managed to sort that with the help of a little bit of a VPN. So I've gone with the version that's on there. But it's very much the stuff of urban legend. The show we're about to talk about today.
Yeah, it's for those that have never watched it, obviously we're happy for you to watch along with us. Go back and watch it, and then come back and listen to us. But The version we're going to review today is the version that kind of WWE, since the VHS that sat there in Woolworths all those years ago with the 15 rating on, and Diana Smith's head placed curiously next to the word dog, which always looked a bit cruel for my liking. Has the
with this company.
show, has the show basically featuring the opener and the main event, followed by the matches that took place the following Tuesday, which WWE had to provide for free because the pay-per-view went down in America. In America itself, live, of course, you got the opener and the main event, but in between that, you got just static, you got fuzzy, you got the Playboy free view at 12, 11 a.m. Like, you just got that snow that you would have to watch ticking over, with one interruption, which I was able to dig out. I don't know if you had the chance to watch it, where Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler, somebody's uploaded this, they've obviously left the video running while recording the pay-per-view, through the snow and through the fuzz. And it happens sort of 2 or 3 times. And even that tape gets chewed up because obviously the feed is so terrible. Of Vince McMahon under like a battery-powered lit up camera, right? Trying to tell the pay-per-view audience, that's right. Yeah, he's holding the mic because obviously the headsets are down, telling the audience that they're really sorry, they're doing everything they can, it's out of their hands, and that the remaining matches they're not going to get to see will be sort of arranged at some point down the line. What I love is that in the building, they've obviously got some house lights or some torches or whatever, and they send the wrestlers out because God forbid the workers get a break out of this. They send the wrestlers out to wrestle in the dark. You see on the Raw in between the two Beware of Dogs, the Austin and Savio strap match, which of course has ramifications that, the result of that we'll get to. Yoko and Vader wrestle in the pitch black. The Undertaker and Goldust wrestle with a completely different finish to the one we get on the In Your House 2. The still images of which, I don't know if you remember this, were featured in a Raw magazine article from I think it was either the May, June or the July, August edition in 1996 that said the show that never was, or the show in the dark. And it looked like criminal footage. It looked like sort of found footage that these matches, if you were there that one night, you saw matches that nobody will ever see. Like, I love it now as a curio. I like watching it back, knowing how stressed and how terrible a day Vince McMahon had. It's funny to watch, isn't it?
It is. It feels like the completest in me wants, like, I want both versions. I want to see everything. Like, there's got to be like a bumper DVD version they could have put out at some point, or some kind of Blu-ray that should have had it all. Exactly, it's got to be there. I mean, they were unearthing at time of recording this last week. They unearthed Brutus Beefcake as Fairy Man or whatever he was doing on like the 1991 TV shows. Yeah, Fairface. That's it. Yeah, which wasn't even his name. It's just a name it kind of grew in like newsletters and just like in little fan groups and stuff like this. And that's how deep those cuts are getting. I want to see some of this. I want to see the shit at the fan. I kind of respect it though. I like that. Like, it's like, pay-per-view's gone down. Yeah, and it, according to the numbers we have, 116,000 people watched the first version of the show, and then 117,000 watched the second version of the show, which feels a bit odd. Where that extra 1,000 come from? I guess it's people like to look at a car crash, don't they? Like to rubberneck. Maybe that it actually kind of helped with the Tuesday night viewing. Yeah. But I feel like there's some money to be made there with the additional footage. But I do respect that, like, they as a company just kept the show going for the fans in the building. They're the ones that really matter, not these 116,000/117,000 on pay-per-view. It's
so interesting to think about what would happen now as well, because the only comparison I can think of, I guess, would be the, WrestleMania 24. Do you remember when the lights went out in I think it was the Divas match, where they were in Florida and there was a bit of inclement weather for a bit, and it went out in the Divas match, and then they wrestled mostly in dark with house lights, and then I think it came back on in I think it was John Cena, Triple H, and Randy Orton. They finally got the lights back up. And even now, like, Nick Khan is moving WrestleMania away from cold weather places because he doesn't like fans to be cold, let alone for any technological problems or something like this happening again. It feels like a problem of a bygone era, this, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen more though, because it's like, just the idea of like, how did pay-per-view work back in the day? Well, basically, and I guess it's the same as the way pay-per-view works today. There's just a lorry outside with a big satellite, and we run some cables and kind of hope for the best. At least now, like, obviously there's internet backups and there's all kinds. I'm broadcasting here from Vietnam, and we're in tune. The internet's ubiquitous and can make anything pretty much work. But back then, that's all it would take, isn't it? Like one cable getting cut, or like I say, a thunderstorm like it happened here for the power to go out and just cause all kinds of problems like it is. It's quite unique, isn't it? And it's you'd think, especially, it feels like as well. It feels suitable for the time. Maybe there is a more to it that it is 1996. We are in the doldrums at this point. Muddy isn't growing on trees at this point. Like you can tell, we're gonna get to it later. Shawn Michaels starts throwing a tantrum that is his world title run is starting in such low rent circumstances. Perhaps if it was ever going to happen to the WWF, it would happen to them here in 1996, and they maybe wouldn't have the backup. But yeah, for me, it's more of a surprise. You don't see more of it, considering all the live TV that gets pumped out all the time.
It's so funny to think of, and I feel like we'll say sentences like this quite a lot in the immediate future of this podcast, but it's so funny to think of the smile that must have come across Eric Bischoff's face when somebody let him know, probably rang him at home. It's a Sunday night. He's getting the last bit of Nitro ready. And somebody rings him and says, Eric, have you got the Fed pay-per-view on? No, why? Well, nobody else has either. And just that big grin coming across what he's going to say on Nitro. He's tearing up his own script about the things. Well, welcome to the show. At least one of us could get one on the air, right? Like, he must have been so buzzing to stick the boot in.
Pig and shit. Absolutely loved it. 100%. But yeah, do you remember it at the time? Like, do you remember it happening? Like, other than like, I vaguely remember the Fussed on Raw. Like, I think because there's the King of the Ring match with Davey and Shawn are obviously coming up that gets set up here. I think in my head I thought there were two, Davey and Shawn matches, and we only got to see one. I think that's the version of the story I kind of gave myself. Was it like that? I suppose the pictures in the magazine, like you mentioned before, I think I do remember them. Is that your recollection of it?
Yeah, so because at this time in my fandom, I wasn't getting every episode of Raw every week, I was kind of relying on just videotapes of the pay-per-views and then whatever sort of mashed up bits of television I was getting. And I remember getting a tape that kind of covered this and the run, pretty much the run up to and including some bits of International Incident as well. So like kind of a 2-monther of a long play of just a bunch of mashed up highlights. And by then, I think the magazine was out, and just the mere fact that the In Your House magazine spread had the 2 dates, and it was a twofer. It was like, this took place across 2 nights. What? And then obviously the Raw magazine backed it up with the photos of In the Dark, and I think I liked it as something that was unique. I liked it as a one-off. The thing about, I think, being a WWF fan for the longest time, and we've talked about this on all the podcasts, there was only certain times that they were prepared to do things new and things that they'd never done before. So in my 11-year-old head, desperate to spin everything as a win for WWE, I was like, oh, that's worked out pretty well. Now they get to do a second night, and it'll look different on the second night and all these things, without the older you get realizing that it was this embarrassment, that it was this like company catastrophe. And as an adult, what I find so funny is that like they would look upon this show, this kind of nightmare of an evening, and Vince McMahon especially would think, well, this is a mess. This is an embarrassment. Like, I need to recover this in all these ways. How many In Your Houses have we watched where the sound is poor, the video quality is poor, there's loads of tech issues? It's not like 95, 96, 97. It was the polished thing you see today.
True.
It hadn't gone through its Disneyfication yet. But in his mind, I think in his mind, he was still putting out 1989 Saturday Night's Main Event. And then when it's gone wrong, he's like, oh, God, we're a national embarrassment. It's like, Vince, I've got news for you, mate. I think 100,000 people in the entire country were affected by this. And otherwise, nobody's going to care.
And another 1,000 turned up as a result of it. That's pretty much the lesson. But yeah, we're going to do our best as they did to stitch it together and talk about it as a whole. Usually at this point, we talk about the in between and the previous pay per view and such. But obviously, previous pay per view covered by us. We looked at a good friends, better enemies. But yeah, to get into this one, like I say, we are from 2 different places, from the Florence Civic Centre and also from the North Charleston Coliseum. We have in the house there the first time 6,000, in the house the second time with their bonus matches is 4,500. Unfortunately, only get Jim Ross and Kurt Hennig on the call. We will get there when we chatted about that.
Sorry, Benno. We're not WrestleNomics or anything, but so what you're telling me is that In Your House 8 Beware of Dog did a 10,000 person gate. Yeah, that's a 10,000 attendance across both nights. 5-figure attendance in 1996. There we go.
we've invented WrestleNomics, and we've invented 2-night WrestleManias / 2-night SummerSlam / coming soon 2-night Royal Rumbles. I think that's been done in 1996. We were already there. It wasn't me in the EWR games when I decided that WrestleMania wasn't big enough, and I needed a Raw WrestleMania and a SmackDown WrestleMania, and it was already a thing in 1996. Good to know. But as we say, they stitch it back together for the VHS. I threw up on screen before, but it deserves a little bit of attention, as you say there. Lovely to see, obviously the real princess Diana of all our hearts on the screen there. We're Beware of Dog. In Your House 8, unbelievable. We're up to 8 here, but a nice bit of bright pink, nice bit of bright yellow as well. There's something aesthetically nice about this one. I quite like it. I feel like maybe you should have saved the pink for a Brett in Your House or something like that. But whoever's in the office putting this one together, I don't think they've done necessarily a terrible job on it. 15 as well, which is an interesting note. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Bret, because I feel like Bret Hart might have titled this show slightly differently to WWE, because I feel like in the spirit of the SummerSlam, he probably would have called it Beware of the Dog. It always stuck out to me as like I don't think, because I was not, it won't shock regular listeners to know that I wasn't from a dog home, that I didn't know that the sign said Beware of Dog instead of Beware of the Dog. And even on this show, some wrestlers call it Beware of the Dog in their promos. But it's quite a cute convention with him fighting the Bulldog, obviously. I'm looking at this cover, Benno, and I feel like at long last they've addressed all of our complaints, have they not? So the 8 is relatively... Oh, no, I found one. I literally, as I'm talking, I've found one. So, like, I was just going to credit them because the 8 is aligned with the In Your House quite neatly. All the matches are actually correctly laid out and justified even. They've got they've got their own little boxes and everything looks relatively neat. And I'm thinking, like the little dates at the top, the 2 nights, I quite like this. And then I'm just now looking, if you look at the WWF logo directly underneath the spine image of Shawn Michaels, and look how squashed that is. Like, come on, guys. Like, you're so close. You're so close.
It's like they ran out of space. They were just desperate to have the as much pink as they possibly could. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It just looks wrong, doesn't it? You haven't quite nailed it. I think Davey looks a bit odd in this one as well. He looks a little bit like he's, I don't know, he's looking a bit puffed up there. He's looking a bit like, he got him the morning after a big session. I was going to say, for me as well, because I genuinely bought this from the shop before in Vietnam, just for video viewers. Thought it was a coffee drink or some kind of energy drink. Nah, it's just a beer. So I'm having a beer now while we're doing In Your House 8. That's going to help me with my double recording that I'm doing tonight. So maybe Davey had one too many of them. Maybe he thought it was a coffee too. Maybe that's what it was.
Did as well, it's probably worth mentioning, when you were saying about how there was a 2-night In Your House and it's kind of had to take a couple of attempts at it. We were looking, weren't we, as well, at the poster, the original poster. This was the first of 2 In Your Houses this year to originally be subtitled. This one was It's Vader Time, and then obviously in December you'd get It's Time. Neither of them featured Vader in the main event. Or Leon was already off to a flyer.
I've just found it here. Yeah, apparently, so you found this, didn't you? Originally, it's like, I presume it's like for some reason they changed plans on it, but yeah, It's Vader Time is the there you go, they've got it up on screen now as the official tagline for this one originally. Maybe they were thinking to go to, I've never read it, but they were thinking to go to Vader earlier as like a contender for Shawn. Maybe it's that, I'm not sure.
See, I wonder, because he came in and had that massive rumble, but he was injured, wasn't he? So the whole point of the Gorilla Monsoon suspension was to take him off TV so he could get his, I think it was shoulder surgery. So I wonder if in their mind, by this time in May, he's already going to have cycled through Yokozuna. He's already going to be ready for Shawn, whereas that delay might have pushed everything back a bit, and then they thought, we'll run him at SummerSlam instead. I know they have to send the stuff out early, but I'm sure that wouldn't happen to him again this year. So nothing to worry about.
He has a great career, does Leon. Look forward to chronicling it and finding out if you and Vince and the people, Bruce Pritchard apparently, we're all right all along about poor Leon there. But we'll get there when we do. But we do have, as well as you mentioned there, the little bit of footage we have of the Beware of Dog thunderstorm and all the lights going out. There is also out there footage of the free for all again. Bit of a short one, isn't it? That's available on Dailymotion again. Another job for the WWE Vault people. I feel like they could pull some more of this footage out. There has to be more out there, but basically it's one match and a whole load of promos is what we got on the free for all this time.
Yeah, it's there's always this thing at the moment with these free-for-alls we're digging out online, where in the commentary of the main card, one of the commentators will say something like, well, we heard from so-and-so on the free-for-all. And I'm going, no, we didn't. Like, I haven't seen it. So there's that completest thing that I think we both have.
Yeah, exactly.
In this show, it was, they were speaking to Moolah and Mae Young, which is several years before they, and you can see them when Vince is doing his apology bit during the storm. They're sat behind the commentators. So that was years before they were regulars in the Attitude. So I need my free-for-all interview with Moolah and Mae. If anybody's aware of it, I need that.
It's the original, first appearance of both of them. It's weird. You would have thought, like, again, you know, in the era of DVD extras and even, I suppose, VHS runtimes were short for a reason, you know, short play tapes rather than long play tapes. But yeah, you would imagine it's the type of stuff that has been a little bit lost to time. So we definitely need our friends at the Vault to pick it up. But yeah, as far as like a match goes on this one, we get the Smoking Guns in there with Phineas and Henry, the Godwins, as our little match, all built around the sunny drama of the time and our eyes being and a head being turned more like from a current AEW superstar Billy Gunn, just like obviously a future Jay White's head would be turned when he found out that he was going to be having to have a singles match with him on Dynamite at the grand old year of 2024. But yeah, that's kind of the one match you get here. But like I remember at the time, and obviously they were trying to get over the idea that Sunny was, you know, jumping from as if she was jumping from partner to partner, but jumping from team to team during this era is kind of like she was literally like, it was almost like they'd just gone, this tag division's the shits, let's just make it the Sunny division and let's make it about Sunny drama, and that's very much what this match was on the pre-show.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the story of Sunny bouncing between the teams, but I think I'd forgotten that how, as you say, definitely an attempt to fix the tag division, but at no point do they think, while we're doing this with Sunny, we could sort of take a look at the matches as well. Like the first one happens at that Madison Square Garden house show where you've got the curtain call. So that's a match that we only see the highlight of, where Sunny turns on the Body Donners to join the Godwins. Oh, sorry, she doesn't actually turn on them. It's revealed afterwards that she signed a secret managerial contract because she's manipulated Phineas. I'll just get that right. So she never technically turned on the Body Donners. She just played both sides to the middle. And then on this one, she never technically turns on the Godwins, and it's Billy Gunn kissing her. There's no match to speak of as a result of this. Like, you're shocked, or at least I was, at just how quick this is all over with. I understand the point is, right, get to the Sunny bit, but there's nothing else before that. They get in the ring, they lock up for a bit, they do a couple of headlock exchanges, and then they get to the Sunny bit, and you've got new tag champions.
That's it. In and out, and we're done. And that was literally the story of the tag belts, you know, during this year. Like, it's funny. It's almost like it molded me as like a young wrestling fan to, I don't know, maybe again this is WWF, getting into my brain at the time of like just tag divisions not mattering, like, and the tag teams mattering because it's all about Sunny, and because the teams are like you said last time. It's literally, we got this one guy, let's clone him, and now we got a tag team, and like that's literally the division through 1996, and they literally by the end of it they clone Sunny as well. So you even get that tired as well. It's just literally there's one idea, and it's just rinse repeat like for a full calendar year.
And we would be remiss, I think. It's funny that you mentioned Billy Gunn randomly getting a match against Jay White on Dynamite and it feeling like maybe an opportunity that he perhaps doesn't necessarily deserve. Well, I think you could make the same argument for here in 1996, because he cuts a promo after the match, which is designed to tease the heel turn that would get confirmed the following night on Raw when Sunny just comes out with the Guns, and the Guns are now embracing the fact that they've got the belts, they've got the manager. There's no turn. It's just, this has worked for us, so we'll do this. His attempt to be subtle and tease it is abysmal. This is like, I would recommend people watch this promo if they can find it, just to laugh at a bad one, because he's got one point he needs to hit, which is that when he was injured with his bad neck, nobody at the hospital visited him. And you can see Doc Hendricks trying to play Mean Gene and lead them along by saying, you're a bit more aggressive out there. And Bart Gunn looks like a rabbit in the headlights as well. And then Michael Hayes or Doc Hendricks is like, well, the Sunny thing then, what about that? And Billy again, well, I gave her what she wanted, and it's great to be back. See you later, Doc. And they're just the two of them couldn't look less equipped for the summer that they're about to have, basically. It's so weird that they've been selected. If this is you'd think your big night, do this in the mirror 10 times. Like, live in these characters so you're good to go. Oh, my God.
You know there's somebody behind the camera literally just pointing at the neck and then pointing at something. Say the line, say what you're supposed to say. Oh, yeah. As a kid, like, I bought into the whole, like, you know, best pure athlete in WWF stuff with Billy Gunn, and the idea that, like, I think, again, as a young, smart fan, you believe the guys who do the most moves are the best wrestlers. So Billy Gunn did the most moves. I think me mate Craig in school counted them, and he had not just the Fame-Asser, you know, he had all kinds of, like, you know, his drop kick, and he had the what was the one he did there? It was like it was like the stroke, but it was like the full Nelson. Was it the one and only?
Oh,
that was one of his.
Yeah.
They had that at one point.
He had a good press slam on him as well, didn't he? He got the Warriors press slam, you know.
He did a lot of moves, therefore he was good. So I bought it, and I always bought it at like, oh, he's underutilized there could be more to him. And then the couple of times they did attempt to go with him, and there were a few of those times it never really worked, and I kind of ate a little bit of crow and realized. But I don't know, like in this early period, I felt like I remembered Billy Gunn showing a bit more personality here, and showing a bit of personality, you know, with the flirting with Sonny, and you know, even me at 12 realized the smoking gun gimmick was a bit lame. The Cowboys are that's cool. That reminds me of wrestling from 3 years ago, as if it was 50 years before that. But it felt like so like out of place, especially, you know, as we are moving into like cooler gimmicks and cooler characters. Like, yeah, I always kind of thought that, you know, it was good that they turned them. It was good that it you know, allowed Billy to show a little bit, actually show personality that he'd never shown before, but not based on this evidence. Maybe it just was never there after all.
No, it's I think by the time it was SummerSlam that I remember, which obviously we won't be reviewing, but I remember that was when they really started like doubling down on the big Sonny posters, and it was almost like the company saying, "You two exist for this bit." There's a bit where Sonny puts a big poster out, and it doesn't matter whether you got the belt or not. Your existence now is to come out so that she can do the big poster, and it's a vote of no confidence, but it's the smoking guns, isn't it?
Maybe it's Bark Gun. He's the one that was last time. He could have been the big star. Must have been, look what he did to us. But yeah, outside of that, on the pre-show, much of note for you. Obviously, we got a bit of background on the Shawn and Bulldog stuff that obviously we're gonna get into later. We have an on-camera segment for Goldust to build up the Undertaker match, which feels very much like a house show main event. We'll get there as well. They seem to be the two main things that are pushing it on the free-for-all.
Yeah, the only sort of thing I wanted to note here was I'd like Goldust been outside in the storm before he came out to cut this promo. Like, his wig and his jacket looked really unkempt. Like he just
got it out the wash. Like he put it on the dryer setting or something, yeah.
And obviously, like, so, you know, you never get a payoff of sorts to this. Not really, because the match that we see in the dark isn't replicated on the In Your House too. So it's as if they were going somewhere with bedraggled Goldust that never gets picked back up. I just found that really odd. And the best Goldust is on the Raw. Can we talk about it now? Like, because we always like to any excuse to bring him up. The Raw in between the two In Your Houses obviously is integral to one of the matches in particular we're going to talk about in Beware of Dog 2. But there's a lot of, they go as far to the line as they're ever going to go with the Goldust character over these two stories. The one that he's got here with The Undertaker and the one that he's about to start with his King of the Ring opponent, Ahmed Johnson. And it's the inciting incident on the Raw in between these In Your Houses where Goldust resuscitates Ahmed and results in Ahmed Johnson in a scene that was immortalized in those Raw credits, absolutely trucking that bloke through the locker room door. Trunks half up his arse as usual. I'm talking a standing version of a Braun Breaker spear right through this guy, through what looks like a locked door that he just burst open. The lack of care the man exhibits for his fellow man is just a gorgeous sight to behold. It is. You hear this phrase used a lot when talking about, like, I don't know, a particularly impressively aesthetic dive or a bloodbath. Ahmed Johnson is beautiful wrestling violence.
It's that strength that he just doesn't know he's got. He doesn't realize that, I'm actually bigger than everybody here, and actually, if I launch somebody, maybe I shouldn't launch them because I might actually kill them like that. But that's the beauty of Ahmed. That's the charm of Ahmed all the way through. It's almost like you can imagine him like turning up to work some days and going, I just don't like having a chat with Ron Simmons backstage. You know, I just don't understand why everybody hates me. I don't understand what the problem is. Why is no one helping me? And Ron Simmons just sat there with like a broken arm, a black eye, like his foot in a fucking leg sling or something like that. And it's just not hitting Ahmed. That's what the reason might be. Like the bod. These he must have caught that are like directly attributed to him in this period. Like it's a laundry list, and it's like it's usually the people like this, the people that they're very much relying on at this time too.
Yeah, or this poor guy who's like being told, "Oh yeah, I'm working WWF tonight, and I know like I'm just a jobber, but they actually want me for TV. They're going to give me an extra $200." And it's a live Raw from the time, so he's calling his family. He's like, "Monday night, tune in." And then they've waited the whole hour, should I say, like 59 minutes. Where is he? Where is he? And then all of a sudden, Ahmed Johnson's bursting down the corridor, and he's like, he's going to be in the corridor with Ahmed. Oh my God, he's dead. Like they're just. It's class, man.
Back in the day as well, where there isn't like as good a freeze frame, really. Like, remember, we used to try, not for any nefarious reason, but you'd be trying to press pause and play slowly on your VHS recorder. It was a hard job, so yeah, you needed to put some work into it to be able to see if you're related.
I recall those days fondly.
Me too. But yeah, that's obviously the other major point. Like I say, big sell for the Shawn story, which we'll get into when we do. But yeah, we'll go into the main show, and as we often have, we have logo watch as we kick off with the Pink Fed logo intro. That's all a bit moody and 97 that we were talking like on the last day in your house. Takes us into a recap video of the Shawn and Davey Boy story. The Shawn is a home wrecker video we have here. It becomes I don't know, are they just thinking it's 1986 and we've got to do what all the reality shows are doing, and we've got to like, this is Vince's attempt to become more current. He got home and he put Ricky Lake on, and it was some kind of story about a husband cheating on his wife. Home wrecker, big thing, wasn't it, in the papers in 1996. Makes them on topic.
I can't work out, even watching this back now, and I remember thinking this then, I can't work out if I like this or not. So like, we'll do a bit of analysis on this otherwise quite silly storyline, right? Because by the time we get to the match itself, there's a different Shawn Michaels to talk about, and I'm so excited to get onto that. So we might as well analyse the story here, because after this pay-per-view, it's pretty much dead. I think it was Stu Hart and Bret Hart both stepped in, and they didn't want Diana Hart as the subject of this story anymore, and the whole thing got binned, and it just becomes a wrestling program. Like, I kind of get it, you know? Like, over the course of 1996, Shawn Michaels was presented as an increasingly white meat babyface, like a sort of, I'll kiss your babies, I'll sort of go to the hospitals, I'll do all this sort of stuff. And people didn't like it, and they didn't respond to it. And by Survivor Series, he's getting booed against Sid and all that. At least this was sort of loyal to Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Like, the idea that there was this past, like his past as a shagger, was something that Jim Cornette cynically wanted to weaponize, and got in Bulldog's head to be like, can we manipulate your wife into getting in the middle of this? And Bulldog's said, well, why? And Cornette's thinking, well, because I want to get the title, right? So I can kind of make it narratively make sense. And Cornette, as the guy doing everything to terrorize champion Shawn Michaels, is better than Ted DiBiase doing everything to terrorize world champion Diesel. Like, it makes more sense, and it's more sort of logical. And then obviously, as we'll get to, when it doesn't quite work, his master plan with Bulldog doesn't work, but Jim Cornette's thinking, well, that's all right. I've got Vader in the back pocket anyway. Like, I kind of get it. I don't know if this is just me being Dr. Fed and trying to justify a bit of soap, but like, I can sort of see why they went down this route, because even it clearly doesn't work. It doesn't connect, and there's other problems. There's other problems with Davey Boy Smith in singles main events general, but there's lots of problems with this one. But in terms of like trying to attach different characteristics to Shawn Michaels, we've seen him be like a guy that can survive a fight with Diesel. We've seen him be the best wrestler in the world by beating Bret over 60 minutes. He's been the gutsy guy because he's come back from the Enziguri. It's like adding another string to his bow, that he can deal with somebody's head games. He can put all that to one side, and he can be the perfect champion, the everything champion. You know, I think that was maybe the point of this. I think it's maybe the fact that it's so early in Shawn's title run makes it all a bit weird. And I think the fact that like it's the people involved, isn't it? Because I get thinking, you know,
that SummerSlam 92 match, like, especially like for me watching as a kid, I'm sure you were the same, and the amount of attention they drew to Diana. She was the third person, not literally in the ring, but the third person in the ring that night. She's the third biggest star of that match, if not the biggest star. Like, her reaction shots are like burned into my memory as much as, you know, the finishes, and as much as like
doing this with the hands and the gloves a lot, isn't she? Like
all of it, yeah. Even the jacket she's wearing, you know, is built into the law, like the brown jacket. Like it's all part of it, and it's all in your head. So it's like that wrestling person thinking of, isn't it? It's the Chekhov's gun thing. We've got this thing available. Why not use it for heat? Why not use it for something? Why not, you know? She's here at the shows with Davey. She's part of the family. She understands wrestling. Let's use her. The problem is, Michael, is she's absolutely fucking crap. Maybe they should have tested that first before they used her. Like, because like she was all right when she was in. Like I say, she was in the crowd and she was rubbing her hands and she was having to look a bit sad and look a bit, you know, like a permanent like look on her face. Like, you know what? She's she's such a good actress. Like, she's so good at looking conflicted. No, that's just the face. That's just the one emotion she can do. She can't do anything else. She can just look puzzled and stare at the camera. And that, I think that probably is part of the problem. I think maybe in the hands of a better performer, maybe at work, maybe it's the fact that it's, as we always joke about, you know, attempt for to, you know, in this era to get Davey over to the expense of, you know, pay-per-view buys and, you know, people at butts and seats. But maybe that's the element of it as well. I mean, it could just be maybe I'm just remembering it because I'm 12 at the time and I'm just generally a bit confused by it, because I suppose I am the fan who's looking at it going, well, he's Shawn, he's the babyface. Like, they told me he's the goody two-shoes. He couldn't have possibly done this. It's not possible. But also not fully understanding, you know, that there is a little bit more of an adult element for it. Maybe that's what it is, because, you know, who are they trying to target, you know, with this stuff? Are they trying to target like that young adult fan? Are they ahead of the game, you know, with the fans that had come a couple of years later? It's a little bit, you can see the wrestler thinking, you can see the Jim Cornette brain wearing on it, but it's all those like little things I think that hurt it.
I think that's a great point about the target audience. I think that's one of the key issues beyond WCW just taking the market that year was obviously once Shawn won, they couldn't quite work out how to catch parts of the audience that still weren't with him. And they would try all different things, and none of them necessarily, based on box offices anyway, none of them necessarily worked. Just on your note about Diana Smith's performance, like the only reason that her wooden performance isn't burned into my brain, like say a wooden Linda McMahon one is because Shawn Michaels' reply will stick with me till the day I die. What is going on with his enunciation when he says, "Do not flatter yourself"? It's like he's only heard the word for the first time, or he's only read it on the page and nobody's told him how to pronounce flatter. Just go and say, like, Shawn, it's just a word, you know, it's just flatter. Just say, "Do not flatter." You know, he's like you know what he's done? Realizing that Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to get buried, he's put 3 H's in the word. I can't like, that will live with me long beyond my time on this earth. The way that he says that, it does something to me, man.
It's like he's like one of those people who only ever read the word hyperbole when it was written down and just assumed it was like the Super Bowl rather than hyperbole. I think like that's what's happened. He was in his AOL Instant Messenger chat room that he's in later on in this night, and that's maybe where he came from. Coincidentally, my password for my old AOL Instant Messenger was in fact a H3 pedigree in tribute to Triple H himself. So maybe there's a connection there as well. But yeah, it was like. If it does feel like, I don't know, like really mature dialogue for the time, it does feel like it's something that has, same for me, stuck in my brain. It's like, oh, what a cool thing Shawn Michaels said to her, because even as a kid, I'm thinking, yeah, she's got no chance with Shawn. Have you seen Shawn? Not thinking of all the problematic, you know, victim blaming me kind of things that brings to mind. Like it was definitely the line of the program.
What was the other? They made a point of a character assassination as well, wasn't it? And then you see Shawn saying, "I'd never hit a woman," after she's thrown a drink in his face. So he just has to deck Jim Cornette instead.
Corny gets it instead, which just feels mean. But there's a lot of that in this period. That's what Cornette is. But we'll do more on that story as we get there. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more negative than you, but I'm still mixed on it. There is part of it that kind of worked. Again, it's just the people involved and, like I say, the timing of it that's maybe more of a problem for me. But on this intro after that video package, can't let it lie. We do also get the In Your House logo making another appearance, and of course, Michael, it's coming out of a kennel, because what else would it be doing?
It's the scariest one ever, Benno. It's a dog. Right there. I have loved that thing all my life, and I cannot tell you a conflict that I felt seeing this. It was like, it's turned into a dog. Is this Ghostbusters or something? Am I supposed to hope that, like, when we finally get to International Incident, it'll have recovered? like Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver, by the end, they'll be back as people again. And it, like, I think I preferred it as a bomb falling out of a plane rather than a dog, but we'll see.
It'll be waiting for you in Thailand, mate, when you come in. You try and get on the Sky Train. Be careful. But yeah, I like it. I like the like I say again. It just blows my mind for it to be a 1996 and then pulling out this wonderful graphic work. They get lazy eventually. They're not lazy yet. They're still putting the effort in.
The little name graphics being like the garden fence with the little cat. Like, they really put the work into this. Like, when somebody got their, if you'll pardon the pun with this one in particular, when they like sunk the teeth into a theme on these In Your Houses, you saw them get into flex, didn't you? This was the period, for those that maybe don't remember, that like, and traditionalists, I think we like this, but for years and years and years and years and years, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, that stuff never changed, ever. No. That never changed. The Rumble was the purple and gold apron. The WrestleMania logo was the WrestleMania logo. SummerSlam was the orange and the two gold. All of it's lush, and they're the logos of our youth. But In Your House changed every month. You could treat yourself every month to a little bit of flavour, and they must have loved that.
Somebody backstage was just really passionate about houses. They were just really into it. What a concept! I'm gonna pour in all of my graphic design ideas into this plastic house. It can be anything. It can be a dog. It can be a car. It can be a house. It can be a house inside a house, like going back to Pimp My Ride. It can be whatever you want it to be. But yeah, the younger. I love if you're out there, if you're listening, you know, there might be people who were really passionate about In Your Houses back then, who found themselves in In Your House podcast. Let us know. We'd love to chat here, but yeah, they've definitely put the effort in there, and yeah, goes to our commentary team for this part of the night, which turns out to just be for us the first two matches, although for the crowd the first and last match is Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler, and yeah, we kick off with the young Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Wild Man Mark Mero, and yeah, we can go into the background to this match. Obviously, as we talked about in the last day in your house, a lot of Sable lore here. Obviously, having come in on Hunter's arm, and they play up that a lot. There's obviously the TV angle with Bob Backlund getting the chicken wing on Mark Mero, and Hunter taking advantage and pedigreeing him. We get the Mark Mero promo inset during Hunter's entrance here to give us a little bit more, and for us to get a little bit more of the charisma of the younger Mark Mero pulling the promos off here. And obviously Hunter has a very different lady on his arm here, but yeah, they put a bit of work into this one, as we talked about with the card shuffle on the last day in your house. It is like a bit of a constant of the undercard, and yeah, you know, we can talk about the result in a little while, but I'm still not seeing any evidence that the Hunter has disappeared off telly yet and has been completely buried by the promotion.
Yeah, that's it. It's 7 days since the curtain call, so obviously his first punishment is to get a pay-per-view payday. It was a really hard 1996 for Paul, wasn't it?
Tough.
Well, in defense of the game Triple H himself, obviously this was already booked, wasn't it? So he was, I think he knew full well that he was going to be losing this one, and then
he's losing now.
We'll dig into that punishment as the year goes on, but I think when we talked about this, it might have been the last housekeeping, where there's one plot hole I'd never considered until you brought it up, which is how Sable arrives as arm candy for Triple H, and then is saved by Mark Mero, but is then also Mark Mero's wife. So
what are you supposed to believe? It was just like, go on, love. Yeah, you know, they were already ahead of the time for 96, you know, open marriage.
That's what I'm wondering. What detail was left out there? Are the Meros in an open marriage? And if they are, like, fair play for Mero for then thinking, well, look, we're in an open relationship, but it doesn't mean that you can be angry towards it just because the Ultimate Warriors beat you up. But that key detail was left out. And if she is a married woman, could Mark Mero not be more worried about her being around Shawn Michaels than Triple H? Has he picked the wrong Click member there? You know, like so. I will say this, like they've kept doing. Triple H is about to go under rather than over for the next period of time. But what I have to reflect on, honestly, about him, because we've watched it back, I still maintain that he didn't get properly over until China rocks up. But what you cannot deny is that the pedigree is that weapon that he's going to have until the day that he finally clicks, the day that he finally connects with that crowd, the one thing he's got. Because the pedigree used in the build to this was, it might as well have put Mark Mero in the hospital, the way that they're treating him getting pedigreed. They have really, really protected that finisher. And like, with the exception of Big Jim at WrestleMania himself, obviously, like everybody else takes that one like it's death. And you can tell it's not just about the King of the Ring he would have won. It's about this program trying to repair the damage the Warrior did to that finisher at WrestleMania. They want to get that all the way back over because, well, up until a week earlier, that pedigree was going to win him the crowd, you know?
Well, like I say, if only the curtain call hadn't have happened before WrestleMania 12. Oh wait, it didn't. But you're absolutely right. It's a problem of their own making before that. Very clearly, a joke. But like, yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, it was the fucking coolest move. I was like, what's he just done? I don't understand. Is that a pile driver? He's kind of done. I guess it was to that one jobber, wasn't he? That almost lost his whole neck when he thought it was a tiger driver or something that he was supposed to take. That should have been the real finish. But you know, even when people aren't taking it like that. We're in the period where it's proper tight as well, the move, isn't it? It's not obviously later in his career he started letting go of the arms, or like famously there was always Kane, wasn't it? Always had like that one trailing leg he'd stick out because he was a shit house and didn't want to take it properly. Or you could tell Dwayne had a conversation with Trips backstage. He'd be like, just let me let arms go a couple of seconds. You know the way you do it to Steve to protect his broken neck? Can you do that to me as well? Because I've got a couple of film roles coming up, and it kind of loses its impact as time goes on. But like the early version is stiff. It is. It just looks rough. It looks horrible. It's not like an instinctual thing, because wrestlers don't take a lot of face bumps. It's something that you learn, as I can say, like in wrestling training, but it's not really something you do a lot of. It's mostly back bumps wrestling, isn't it? So it's like, it's something where people do probably panic a little bit when they're down there. But it's a great impact move, because he was used. Was it the diamond cutter he was using for a while, wasn't he? Before he switched to this, and it's just perfect.
Which is one of the nice bits of wrestling happenstance, isn't it? That Diamond Dallas Page was also a guy that kind of, he needed that cutter because it was the only thing he had going for him for so long. And it was like, as a bit like Triple H here, where you've got a lot of bells and whistles, you've got a lot of, you're coming out dressed, you've got a woman on your arm. It's like DDP with the cigar and the battle ball ring and all the gimmicks. None of that's connecting. But when you hit your finisher, people actually react, and sooner or later that's gonna take, you know. Over and over. All the pedigree talk, when you talk about like selling it, and the idea about how like the amount of like sort of potential jaw injuries or broken noses or whatever because those arms are like that. I always think about Mick Foley calling that audible at the Royal Rumble 2000, and then Triple H thinking, "What have you just done?" It's like, "Now do me again, do me in the pins." Like the bump that the wrestlers don't want to take, do that to me in the pins in Madison Square Garden. I'll take that. Like I think about that and think, like, to double down. Triple H shows that man more than he says. Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah, he'll never admit it though. That's unfortunately there. Like a lot of things he won't admit. Bringing truth back. Lots of stuff like that. But to be fair, you know, you were complimenting him there. I'm still surprised that like every In Your House where he pops up, how much I'm enjoying his work, like as like a guy at this stage in the roster, and as like a mid card heel / undercard heel, depending on what happens to him for the rest of 1996. Because like I think he goes out there and he just puts in really, really solid performances. Like this Mero match, it's not a 5-star match, but you know, he's out there, he's bumping and feeding for Mero for like the big shot. Big Shawn that Mero gets, catches him on the dive. He loves he's very like old school. He loves his little fake cut off. It's I think it's an eye rake he tries to do here, and then eventually the real cut off comes when it's like Mero. They play like Mero's own excitement comes to cost him, and he shoulder bumps the ring post, doesn't he, and goes down from there. And then it's a very like the Retro Boys would love this. Like it's a very dedicated lot of work to the arm the Hunter does, like for the bulk of this match, like, and it pays off. It then turns into like a bit of a leg sell at the end for Mero as well. But like those early stages of the match, like I really Hunter's actually, because a lot of these matches are formulaic at this point in the 90s, and a lot of it's like it's before Tough Enough, and before everyone really knew how the sausage was made, and before I think people were already doing it, but the company and the wrestlers weren't necessarily onto the fact that a lot of people watching this with Meltzer brain and weren't watching it cheering for the goodies and cheering for the baddies. They were watching it as art. So a lot of it's like, okay, we do the shine, we do the cut off, we do the heat, and then we end, and they don't necessarily put much thought into it. His matches feel thoughtful, like it feels like it's formulaic in some ways, but like it's really clever how he gets to the different points. I think he's a really good bumping and stooging heel for someone like, say, Mark Mero, who's very much on the rise at this point.
Would it be safe to say, Benno, that when we started this podcast, or even when we started talking about this podcast, one of the reasons is because that we found ourselves in such synchronicity over so many things, in such agreement over so many things, that it, like, every little step, I did a couple of guest spots on Grapple, and every little step was this little baby step of, God, that's the same, and that's the same, and that's the same, and this feels like it was meant to be, it was destiny. And then one of us mentioned In Your House, and he was like, God, that'd be brilliant, that's exactly what I was thinking. And then off, like, to the races, it was just the smoothest, perfect way for, like, this beautiful podcast relationship to start. I've got in my notes, absolutely terrible opener, achieved nothing and was goal to watch. I hated this match.
Oh, no.
This rewatch of this match took every memory I thought I had that played out exactly as you just very eloquently articulated there, and just erased it, just washed it away like tears in the rain. I thought this was indulgent garbage. I was watching it, wondering how on earth it was being given the time it was given, right? Triple H, he works the arm. I will meet you there. He works that arm. But he doesn't work it with anything, right? This match, right? Two things happen that you said that I will completely agree with. Number one, Triple H works the arm. Number two, Mark Mero sells the arm. Those two things, factually correct, Benno. Everything else, I couldn't be further away from you from, right? I'm almost imploring you to watch this back again and see if I can change your mind on this now, right? So the match starts with Mero starting hot. He's full of rage. He wants to get him. And he hits the post. That's the kind of inciting incident that gives Mero the flashing red spot on the arm and gives Hunter the body part to target, right? And I'm thinking, right, here we go. I remember this now. It's the arm thing. Because I remembered the Mero comeback at the end that he has to make with one arm. And I was quite excited to get to the comeback. And I was thinking, right, let's have a look again at what Triple H actually does. There's some space to fill here. What's he going to fill it with? And then I remembered, Hamflett, Triple H was shit. He always was shit. He didn't get good till 2000. He's got nothing to fill it with. He's got nothing to fill it with. Like, I really, honestly, give it a second, third, fifth, whatever look.
Interesting.
There's nothing happening. He's working the arm with nothing. The crowd are giving him nothing. There is no response. So how does he get that crowd? He's like, right, hang on, there's no noise. So he obviously says to Mero, cut off. So they do a cut-off spot where you think Mero's going to get back into it, and then Triple H does one of his cut-offs. And it's like, right, this time are you going to get to a move? Nah, just does the same nothing again. Same load of nothing, right? And then when Mero does his one-arm comeback, the bit that I was excited about watching, what I had forgotten wasn't that the one-arm comeback was like, and he powers through and he wins and great. No. He wins with a banana skin finish where he basically, the last second, he gets to counter Triple H and then slingshot him into the post, which knocks out Triple H. That's like an old Shawn Michaels pinball bomb. It's crazy that the most entertaining bits of a Triple H match will be the Shawn Michaels spots. But there you go. Like, he pinballs off that post like Shawn would. He's knocked out, but Mero is almost kind of like locked into this finish. I can't believe it. I've got this win. So this long, laborious undercard match that thankfully is the last we'll get a Triple H till buried alive, I think, fittingly, is like ultimately fails to achieve to get Mark Mero over as anything other than lucky and opportunistic as a babyface, and Triple H over as a technician that has nothing in his technical arsenal in order to be a technician. I thought the only saving grace of this match is that from this show going back to the last In Your House we recorded, Sable is improving with every performance. She is exactly 1 month more comfortable on camera, and she's starting to understand when it's likely the camera's going to be on her and when she needs to emote and like relate to stuff. I quite liked Triple H wanting her to watch as he did the damage and how she acted to it, and then how Triple H reacted to Sable, and it looked like he was going to get quite nasty and vicious with her, and that was when Mero was able to make the heroes safe. Sable was required to play a part here, and I saw marked improvement from when she was ringside for Mero's match against the Kid. I thought the rest of this, I have never felt closer to all of those weird, jealous wrestlers when they bang on about Mark Mero not being able to work. I'm a Mero guy. And I just thought this entire thing was a mess, like all wrong. Not a mess. That's not fair. It wasn't a mess. It was the opposite of a mess. It was a very boring, clean and tidy room of a match. And I had no, like
a tidy room.
I had no patience, no patience for it by the end. Like whatever the runtime was, shave 6 minutes off it.
It's funny because the bit I don't like is that it's like I think the end of it does, like I say, I've never liked the slingshot. It was always a shit move. It was always very clear the person taking it was jumping. Like there was no mechanic to it that you could even explain to me as a kid that this made any sense. And I hated that. And it felt like the finish you mentioned there with like Hunter goes for the pedigree and, Sable's so sad that Mero's about to lose that you just can't look. I don't think they sell that broadly enough, whether it's Sable a fault or whether it's Hunter that's a fault. Something goes wrong there where I think it's supposed to be more obvious what's going on and somebody's out of place. I was thinking it was Sable. Maybe it's Hunter just fucking up and being, the Hunter that you're saying there. That wasn't ideal for me. And like I say, the fact that, Mero wins off a slingshot of all things is just a bit crap. But I loved everything that came up to that. I loved the difference on it because stop me. I think I'm turning into an old school worker here, Michael. What was so great about what Triple H did here, mate, is that he did nothing. That's what's so good about it. Is that I'm literally thinking that like I like that he's like subtle. I like that he's like he's here so that Mero can be up here. Like that's kind of his job in the situation as far as like getting Mero over. I don't think the booking gets Mero over. I don't think the finish gets Mero over. But I genuinely think the way they work the match gets Mero over because Triple H probably is methodical to a fault. Boring's maybe a fair word to use. But there's part of me that's like kind of going, well, in this pure heel face dynamic, I kind of like that about it. I like that he's there so that he can be the base for Mero's comeback. Because I think where me and you do agree is like in '96, like I thought Mero was doing stuff I thought was like he was inventing moves. Turned out he wasn't. Yeah. He just nicked them all from Liger and Scott Steiner and all kinds of people. But like his comeback, maybe it's because it's such in contrast to Triple H. I love it. I love that he catches him on the top rope and gets like crotches him, doesn't he? And then he hits like the top rope Rana. Like the head scissors that he hits is great. He hits like a top rope sunset flip. Like again, I can distinctly remember just being a kid go, what the fuck is going on here? What is he hitting? Yeah. Even down to missing the tope con hilo to the outside again, where maybe we disagree a bit. It's like obviously most of the match is built around the arm, and that's the moment that they switch to the leg. But I like that, like the commentary puts that over. I like Lawler's performance, where it's like now Hunter's fighting, somebody with one arm and one leg. Like I think it gets over the idea that Mero is in such dire straits that like Sable might not be able to look and might think it's so devastating that she needs to look away. It plays into a finish that doesn't work, but they do the work to get it to that point. Like I loved all of that, and it's that last minute or so that loses it for me. It's the finish that's bad for me. The actual structure of the match, yeah, I really liked it. I didn't necessarily think it outstayed its welcome. And yeah, I didn't know it was going to turn into an undercard heel Hunter Hearst Helmsley defender, but I think that might be my job here in these 1996 shows.
I suppose in hindsight, what's interesting about the booking here is that in spite of the punishment, they appear to have kept the agent in exactly as they would have wanted, because in their mind, before the curtain call, Triple H is winning the King of the Ring. So what they've wanted to do here is have Mero get a big win to get his revenge, but the finish almost protects Hunter ahead of him going on and winning King of the Ring. It's interesting to me that they've not changed the agent in, knowing that they were going to bury Triple H. They've still kept the match the same. Like they could have had Mero.
To your point, like the cutoffs. Because you would think Mero would get the better of Hunter. Hunter would get the better of Mero by some nefarious means. He pretty much outsmarts him when he gets out the way and Mero hits the corner. Like that puts him on to me. Yeah. That makes him look like he's this great proficient wrestler that's got Mero exactly where he wants, which is not what you'd do if you were burying him. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right. You're totally right. It's striking to me that they thought, oh well, like we've got this match now, so we're going to have it play out the way. If that was now, and you'd read that day online that it was out there that somebody's going to be getting buried, you'd expect them to be getting squashed on Raw and embarrassed, wouldn't you? It would have been sort of like Mero just gets him before the bell. It's a hot exchange. He Ultimate Warriors him basically. He just chucks him about the ring and he hits a flashy move and beats him. So I was surprised that they got what they got here, and all you've done, and I don't hold it against you at all, is just say what every other person that's ever reviewed this match will say about this. If you go back and read the match, I remember this at the time being like one of the celebrated WWF undercard. It's the sort of thing that if Jim Ross was commentating, he'd be on about the young athletes of the day. Like, people really like this Mero Triple H stuff. And I was ready to sit down, rubbing my hands. It was like, here we go. Let's put WCW back in their place again. And I was like, no, this was toilet. I didn't like this one. Maybe we need Gareth and Matty on Bretros like a decider for this one. Like,
yeah, they can go through it to see where they land. 3.25. I mean, like I say, I wouldn't like do somersaults over it. I wouldn't go like 4 stars or something daft on it, because again, you know, it's the way it finishes and ends. But yeah, I think we're I'm somewhere in the 3s, but that's as far as I'm willing to go. You know what I feel like? I feel like one of those like William Regal defenders. You know what you're missing? It's the things between the notes. You know, when he does nothing, that's really good. That's the good stuff. That's the actual work within the work. I've turned into that guy. That's what it is. I've become what I hate.
Best thing about jazz music is that the crowd don't make any noise when it's being played. Yeah.
It's like those Japanese crowds, mate. They're just really respectful. That's what it is. It's not just that all the Americans who went out there didn't know how to work. No. Respectful crowds. That's it. But there we go. Didn't expect us to disagree on that one, but fair enough. That's our. I think that's might be the match of the night too, but we'll get there. That was one big contender. But yeah, we go backstage from there to Cornette and the gang. We were obviously. I feel like this is. I don't know whether this is taped on the night or is this. You know, it's footage that they've inserted so that they can more neatly go to the next match, which on the night was not the next match. Obviously, this is the point when, as you said earlier, you know, the lights go out and all shit hits the fan. It does feel like that, you know, when you see it. Like even when like Davey makes his entrance, it just feels a bit dimmer. It just feels like something's off. Like down to the fact that like Vince tries to throw to Shawn like 3 or 4 different times to cut a promo, and then they eventually get to him. And it's like, I mean, as a gear aficionado, I'm sure I'm 100% it'll be top of your notes that Shawn's got like the bottom half of his entrance gear on, but he hasn't bothered to put the top back on because he was probably thinking, am I going to go out there? Am I going to have a match? Am I just going to fucking go home? I don't care. Like the passive aggressiveness of like the way he cuts that promo and talks about the lights going out. Even the passive aggressiveness of like when he cuts the promo and Jose Lothario's trying to like join in and like pat him on the shoulder, or when they're trying to walk. Yeah, they're trying to walk to the ring and he's trying to pat him on the shoulder. It's all Shawn he might as well be invisible. He's just not there at all, which begs the question, why the fuck is Hans Moleman there? But again, we'll continue to have that conversation through the year. Like if you were watching this with no, you know, knowledge of the fact that we are now skipping 4 or 5 matches in the middle, I think it's Shawn that's going to be the one to tip you off, and that's before he even gets through the curtain.
I got so excited when they threw back to Shawn Michaels, and like the first question he answered when Doc said, like Jim Cornette earlier in that promo promised that he was going to drop a bomb on you, and Shawn just cut him off and said, what, like the bomb they dropped on the satellite? I was like, oh, here we fucking go. Here we go. It's funny you mentioned about the top half, because, yeah, obviously it jumps out at you. Even like somebody that's not as arsed about a tie, you'd be like, well, where's Shawn's top half? I like to believe, Benno, that he had in fact put it on, and then the more the show was going tits up, he's like just launched it across the room in anger, and like a load of the mirrors and the jewels have smashed. And, like, it's getting cleaned up off camera.
It landed on Jose Lothario's head or something like that, and it's gone to pieces.
I love Jose just trying to like probably very literally loosen Shawn up, and he's having absolutely none of it. It was just he storms off to the ring. He looks angrier. Well, and because he looks angrier here than when he was trying to work how angry he was walking in the ring against Diesel. Like it's etched across his face. And like, so imagine if you're Shawn, and we're going to get into it in the match, I know, but like, imagine if you're Shawn, and this is probably, you had match A when you arrived at the building. Then they're telling you might not even get out there. So you're Shawn. So you're probably thinking, right, I'm going to have to go to match B, whatever that is. And then match B is actually going to go ahead. Oh, we've got enough pay-per-view time. Go on out there. You got to. And then as we're going to get to, when he gets told they're going to have to do match/finish C, he's thinking like, I hate this. This is an unprofessional joke of a company, and my friends have just left for double the money and half the dates. It's just all of that. It is.
He might as well have that tattooed on his forehead.
Benno, man, I thought the perfect storm was the one happening outside of the building. I didn't realize it was the one like circling Shawn Michaels. And to top it off, they film a great bit of a feud that never got paid off, didn't they? This was the second time he had aggro with Mr. Perfect. So we had Perfect threw Diesel the belt in the build to the Good Friends, Better Enemies, and Perfect will take a bit of a role upcoming at King of the Ring, and that was as much as it ever happened between those two. But this shoulder check in the locker room, you would 100% believe that one of them's just called the other a cunt in the locker room, wouldn't you? It looks like it's got some meat left on it, this shoulder barge.
And it's like it's one of those as well where like I was gagging for it at the time. I was like, oh, Mr. Perfect's gonna wrestle again, like, because even as a kid understood that he was just better than other people. I didn't know why the matches with Brett were better, but they were better. He was always the baddie that you kind of half liked and you kind of preferred to be, but still preferred to be the baddie. Never liked him as a goodie.
Was unfinished business from '93 as well, wasn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Like,
but then
remember they had the match at SummerSlam, and you're like, nah, I always wanted a bit more of that. They never quite got where they wanted to, and now 3 years later, it's going to be for the big belt rather than just the IC one, you know, and I never got there.
Like say with the little interaction they have, like at the end of WrestleMania 9, like, you know, when it goes to the little backstage bit in Vegas with her there as well. It was all there. It was all ready to be paid off. It's a real shame, but yeah, I enjoyed that little Easter egg there as well. Honestly, I think the shoot thing there is just literally Shawn had forgotten that they were doing that. He was just about to go, fuck it, let's go to the ring. I'll do 5 minutes with Davey, and like Perfect was just stood there. Like, oh fuck, we had that planned, didn't we? Right, I've got to do that as well. Like, what a fucking year Jose Lothario must have had here though. Like, there must have been multiple points where he's like, this isn't worth it, you know. I don't think like it's like you know, like the estranged dad like hanging around with the son when he goes out and then on the piss on the Friday night with his mates. Like, there comes a point where it's like, I don't think your son wants you here, you know. I don't think he actually is happy that you're here. At some point you should probably take the hint. It's just a year of Jose not taking the hint.
I need some law somewhere or other where there's like a happy other side to like Jose Lothario's terrible days at work, where he gets back to the hotel and he rings his wife or something and he says, oh, the paycheck's come through and they're getting like a nice conservatory built or something like that, or they're getting like an extension that they're saving up for a holiday and they cannot believe their luck. Like, Jose's long thought, oh yeah, I get a bit of money off a training school or I do whatever job I do now, and then it's like, I'm getting fed money. Like, he's like, let's buy that boat. Let's get the kids through college. I need to know that money in the Lothario household. Like, you see Pete Lothario taking a table bump at the end of the year.
Yeah,
like, were they putting Pete Lothario through wrestling school or something? I need to know that the money was doing something to make Lothario's life better, because it was clear that Shawn was making it miserable.
Absolutely, and it's 96 money, so I can't imagine the money was that good either. Like, what is he thinking? It's funny, like Shawn's book, there's definitely like a real story there, but like Shawn's book even barely mentions him from what I can remember when I read that. Like, it's like there's one man and he goes, yeah, maybe it was a bit uncool having Jose out there, but he was my trainer, you know, it meant a lot to me. And it's like, that is not the real story. The real story is probably you kicking up a tantrum every time you saw like the peanut looking fucker turning up to TV. I'm sure you weren't happy.
It's so funny as well. It's just like he's come from Diesel to Jose. Like, just this big sexy to a peanut. Like,
I was going to make a joke there that there was a tag running it. No, there actually is. There's a match coming. Fuck. It's also a thing that they do. Very cornet pill.
The old dudes with attitudes.
Oh, mate. Awful stuff. And again, it's one of those, like, again, even as a kid, you're like, who is he? Like, who's Jose? I know he trained Shawn Michaels, but like, it's not like I've forgotten him from like working Hogan in Madison Square Garden in the 80s. Like, it's such a random like person to have on TV. You would have thought Vince would be Nixon that week one, but yeah, we've got a lot more weeks of it to come. But yeah, Shawn is fuming, makes his big entrance after bumping into Mr. Perfect, doesn't have his top on, and yeah, amongst this we have Vince on comedy shilling that there's going to be an encore, which again is your indication that, like, to be fair to them, they figured that out already. They're already telling you it's on Tuesday, aren't they? They're like, so that honestly just made me wonder, like, okay, Vince is on commentary, who's backstage fixing that? Who's backstage? Like, because again, there's no texting, is there? Like, everyone's on the phone. Like, they must have on the phone to the cable company, then on the phone to the arena on Tuesday, they're on the phone to the satellite. Like, can we get a satellite truck that day? Can we do it? Does it work? Oh shit, we got superstars on Tuesday. How can we work around it? Somebody's figured all that out without Vince really being involved in it. He's just going along with it on commentary. At least they get it sorted.
It's impressive, isn't it? Yeah, and I just got back to, as Shawn's entering, and yeah, as you say, Vince is sort of explaining all of this. It's so atypically unfocused in terms of how they present Shawn Michaels, because obviously they've got about 50 other things to do. But eyes are on Shawn, and he looks at the crowd. And to be fair, the crowd have watched 3/4 of the show in the dark. The weather's terrible outside. They're probably not having the best night. And he doesn't get a great reaction. Well, indeed, yeah. Like, he just sort of sarcastically looks out at the crowd, and you can see him go, oh, wow. Like that, as if he's angry with the small pop that he's received. And it's just... I'm obsessed with Shawn Michaels in this match. Honestly, I always have been. I was so excited to review this and talk at length about Shawn Michaels in this. It's quintessential night as Shawn. If you like your dickhead Shawn, this might be the peak night for it.
WCW is running through his brain 100% in everything he does. But before we get to the match, we have Clarence Mason accusing Shawn of, what is it, attempted alienation and affection of this young innocent lady, Diana Hart. So they established that as Shawn is served with papers, and again, doesn't seem to care. He very clearly just wants to get this match done and this horrendous finish that is to come over with. But you mentioned the match there. I mean, we can go through stage by stage, but you know, when we say it's written over Shawn's face, like just the opening of this match and just how clunky, or like they're doing your generic, you know, back and forths and your momentum shifts and stuff like that. And like Davey must have been on eggshells as it was, just knowing if I put one foot wrong here, Shawn is going to be on me. Fortunately, he puts multiple feet wrong, and Shawn is very much on him. He catches him for the plancha. If I was Davey, I'd have just left him and walked the other way. But like, there's multiple points here. There's nowhere Davey's trying to like, oh, I've got an idea, we might do something. And Shawn's like, no, grabs the headlock and grabs that fucking thing for a while. It is an eye-opening first 5-10 minutes of this match, and I was very much thinking of you watching it.
Benno, I've got good news for you. We're back on the same page, mate, because I've got no written in all caps around that headlock spot. So the match starts hot with Davey attacking Shawn when he tears up the papers. Yeah. And for a split second, it's 1992 all over again, or it's 1995 all over again. These two have got that liquid chemistry, power versus speed and aerials. And you think, here we go. It's Bulldog Shawn. Like, maybe Shawn's going to break the Bulldog main event curse. And then, after that one sequence where it starts, something else happens that pisses Shawn Michaels off. You don't quite know what it is, but he gets this headlock on, and like he seems to like catch somebody's eye in the front row, and he pulls an angry face. Somebody in the front row obviously says something that's wound him up. So he holds this headlock on, and then he turns his back on the hard camera with this headlock. So they're not even emoting now to the hard camera; they're emoting to the crowd. And then it cuts to the ref, and then it cuts in close on the Bulldog, because they are not moving. Like, you can see in Bulldog's body language, he must look up at some point and say to Shawn, should we go now? Shall I count you now? And Shawn, with his body, goes, nope, and just wrenches tighter, and they just it's like, it doesn't look right. You know, it makes you realize that even in the headlock, wrestlers are moving, because Shawn Michaels is stood action figure still with this headlock on. And then because there's nothing to look at, the camera starts moving around, and you see this shot of Diana in the corner, and you can see Howard Finkel talking a mile a minute. And then you cut back to the ring, and you can see Earl Hebner looking into the corner. And this would happen a few times. And obviously, so much is changing. So much is on the fly getting rejigged, whether it was the finish, whether it was bits of the match getting cut, whether it was the panic that the satellite feed might go out again. Who knows?
Yeah, I was wondering if it was that.
Like, there must have been so much going on. And it's Shawn Michaels' job as the leader of the company, as the champion. Like, imagine Cody Rhodes in this spot and how he'd roll with it. Like, as a contrast, you know, like, imagine somebody that would just take this and make it work. And then you've got the literal other end of the scale in the worst, most petulant little dickhead to be out there. It's written across Earl Hebner's face every time he's just taken another bollocking from Shawn. It is captivating to watch this match disintegrate in front of your eyes.
That was my guess, because Shawn grabs the headlock for so long that, like, he's either misheard or somebody thinks the feed's gone, and he thinks the feed's gone. So he's just like, fuck it, I'll just stand here then. And like, everyone else is trying to go, no, mate, we're on. We're literally on pay-per-view. There's 100,000 people watching somehow. Like, fucking do something, get going. Like, it feels like something goes wrong. Because that's it. You would think, like, it's like I went to the King of Europe tournament in Liverpool in 2008. Young Sami Zayn as El Generico. The ring literally broke halfway through the show. And like, I can't remember who we were now. I don't think it was Steen. It was somebody like that. It might have even been Pac. And they built that, or maybe it was Hero. They basically built the whole match against. They were both too scared to bump because the ring might break again, and like, he literally just made it a bit, and it made the match better. It was way better. And then when they finally bumped, it made like a big thing, and that was like, them kind of going, yeah, everything's gone to shit, but we'll try and at least have some fun here and do something for the crowd. Here it's like everything's gone to shit, like you say. Those poor people are thinking, I'm not going to be able to drive home tonight. What the fuck am I going to do? I hope my house is still there. And like Shawn's just like, he's got the hump. Probably Davey misunderstood him or heard a word wrong or didn't like. He doesn't. I joke there that Davey puts a few feet wrong. He doesn't get that much wrong. It's not that blatant, or at least compared to Davey normally. But the other problem is that it's Davey's in there with. He's not in there with maybe somebody. I guess he respects Davey. He's out on the piss with him a little bit, but like not somebody like who can carry the work himself. Davey, as we always say when he's in Brett and Shawn, he's there to be led, isn't he? And if Shawn's not willing to do the leading, then you're just left with a standstill. Because there's a bit of bulk like to the middle part of the match. Shawn gets in the Vader Triple H a bit of arm control until Davey eventually takes over and eventually gets a bit of heat. But then even then, the heat is Davey, grabbing on a sleeper and holding on it for a very long time. Again, feels like Shawn's kind of, he's calling the shots very clearly. Is he taking instructions from outside? Is he just thinking, I'm going to treat this like a house show? Again, maybe misunderstand the situation. Then there's the whole confused bit where I think they're supposed to run into each other, but like they kind of run into each other as a shoot, and Shawn falls to the outside, and it wasn't the plan because Davey fucking panics and sprints onto the ring very clearly to be like, I'm sorry, Shawn, I'm sorry, Shawn, I was in the wrong place, I'm sorry. Because I think that's like a first go at the ref bump that comes later, because that kind of comes in a similar situation. But it just feels early. It feels like maybe Shawn's the one who's made the mistake, like going into that so soon. It's so weird.
Bulldog likes that spot where he, especially as a heel, where he folds his knee into the babyface, and the babyface takes like a flip bump off it. And Shawn, because he skids off the knee rather than taking it full contact in the stomach, has no choice but to he just ricochets himself to the floor. And as you say, it's ugly and it's something and nothing. You say Shawn, calling the shots. He's calling them loudly. You hear him just saying like arm, and then he'll go reverse. You can hear full words.
Go for wrestling schools.
Just you can hear. I've never seen anything like that from somebody at that level, other than when Shawn Michaels is doing it to rib somebody else, like when he told Ahmed and Ken Shamrock to call your spots nice and loud, knowing that it was going to get them buried. There's a bit where what is it? It's because we're doing this chronologically, but it is basically chapter pointed by Shawn Michaels' different tantrums, isn't it? It's less about the story of the match and it's about the different tantrums. There's a point where Shawn they've got to a split screen, and I think it's so that you're looking at something else while the referee and the wrestlers talk about this new finish that they've come up with. And then it comes back to the main camera on the match, and they go into a headlock, and it feels like something gets changed again, because you see Shawn, while he's in the headlock, throw his arms up in frustration and just stop selling. He just stops selling with his face on. He's in a headlock. He's not. And then you hear a loud screaming woman in the crowd, really loud barking, screaming. And Bulldog goes, as a heel, just goes, shut up, like that. Shawn Michaels, the baby face with the camera on him, goes, shut up, you fat cow. Just clear as day. In a headlock. He's in a headlock. The camera, I think, cuts to Owen Hart, and he looks like a man that is like, oh God, Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner he just disappears off the screen. The headlock's happening, and Shawn has told Earl Hebner, what? Go and shut that fan up. What's Earl Hebner supposed to do? And I
go around the crowd going,
right.
Shush.
Yeah. I think if I've got this right, you then hear Owen Hart doing his own hot dogging, presumably to try and get a few fans to make fan noises rather than, I don't know, to drown this woman out so that baby Shawn can concentrate on working again. I love it. I love it, Benno. It is. He's a fucking nightmare, isn't he? He is a fucking nightmare, and you're getting to see just a little bit of it.
He's like that perfection, like that artist who's like, I need that perfect silence to work. It's like, the problem is, mate, you're a pro wrestler who works in arenas, so there might be a problem, and it might not be arenas for too much longer if you carry on like this. It is just, he's lost it. He's completely lost the plot.
Because Vince is even pissed off, isn't he? Vince normally does his screaming fanboy thing for Shawn, and Shawn, I think it's when they did, Shawn. runs the ropes and goes under Bulldog's legs, and Bulldog cuts him off. And then Vince says, like, yeah, Shawn's a little bit slow off the mark tonight. He would never talk about babyface Shawn like that, ever.
No,
and you can tell he's getting angry with it as well.
He knows it's coming away from the seams, because it is as if the cameras aren't there. It's as if Shawn's just convinced himself, I know fucker's going to see this, or worse, people are going to see it, and I don't fucking care because I'm not happy, and I want everyone to make clear I'm happy. Because, like, even like, you know, your go-tos, you know, your big Shawn comeback, that feels kind of rushed through, you know, just to kind of get to the ref bump. Like, that doesn't feel like it's been laid out meticulously. Again, almost as if Shawn Michaels is maybe protesting some of the creative that's been come up with here. Like, Owen, like, you know, he's obviously there with his manager's license, and, you know, that's supposed to be a big spot in the match. Like, not much setup there, just gets in, eats a super kick, doesn't he? Like, it's just, that's that.
Yeah.
Even the finish, like, I never liked it. Like, the whole, like, so are we going to get to the point where we're going to have a draw here? We're going to do a German suplex of all things, which never beats anybody anyway. And not only is Davey not going to kick out, but actually I'm not going to kick out too. Like, who came up with this? It's fucking crap. And it feels like it's in a point in the match where there should be like 10 minutes maybe for you of that Triple H match should be here, because like it feels like, yeah, there was more time on the clock, or maybe they are just thinking, fuck, we need to get, you know, if the pay-per-view's on, we need to get the finish in, because that comes out of nowhere as well. It just feels like there's no forethought to it, at least not to the level that you expect from Shawn Michaels. It very much feels like he's been told what's happening, and he's gone, well, if that's what you want, we'll do it, but I'm not giving you the Shawn Michaels version of it, because it's all just so flat.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you know, knowing Shawn Michaels in 1996, he's probably thinking, God, if they would listen to me, I could probably come up with 5 better finishes while I'm having this match, but they're not going to listen to me. Vince McMahon and whoever's going to put a finish in Earl Hebner's ear, and then that's the finish we're getting. So as you say, yeah, I'll give you what you want, but I could have done it 10 times better. But you're not going to listen to your world champion, like, are you, Vince? Like, there's all the ego, the power, or the lack of power in this case, like the spiraling lack of confidence that he must already be having. 7 days after his best mates have left the company, and he's faced like his mental state, his well-being at the time, his addiction. It's such a confluence of everything that we'd only see sort of unravel further by the end of the year. And we're getting a version of it that's only really occurred because of a weather-based inconvenience. It's taken, like, ironically for Shawn, an act of God to really set him off down a dark path here. But like Vince calling it a bizarre night, and Vince isn't very good at speaking in code like Jim Ross sometimes is he? Vince is basically saying, that was shit. That was absolutely shit, and I've just served you up pure shit. And Shawn staring a hole through Vince as the show goes off the air, like he's looking right down at Vince at the announce table, just with those angry Shawn Michaels 90s eyes. And like, there's a bit
Vince,
where,
you
like,
should have controlled the weather. Can't believe like Pat Patterson didn't fix that, you know? Like, literally, it's like that's the thing, isn't it? It's like everyone's in the same situation. The whole, you know, the show's gone down the pan because of like something you can't really control, and that's the part that's like not there, is it? With Shawn Michaels, it's like your leader and your top guy. You're thinking, you know, in this moment, he's thinking, oh, this fucking tin pot company, I hate it. Why do bad things happen to me? When actually, this is the test, isn't it? This is the type of test. You know, I'm a Shawn guy, not a Brett guy, but it's the type of test Brett would have probably fixed the feed himself. You know what I mean? Brett would have taken the whole company on his shoulders and went, you know what, Davey, we're going to go out there and we're going to have one of those great matches we had. They're both bladed, and it'd been a fucking, you know, this amazing classic that that only Brett could pull off on the night. Shawn goes the other way, doesn't he? And that's like maybe your first inkling there. As much as I enjoyed it as a kid, as much as I'll always be a Shawn guy, you know, maybe showing his hand a little bit that like he's not the guy to be the leader as much as it felt like it. Oh,
100%. But this is it. Like, I think we both share a love of. I think you've described it as difficult men in wrestling in the past. Like, and I think this is one of the reasons. Like, I find this as a fascinating character study of Shawn Michaels as any of his classic matches. Like, I'd include this in a must-watch of a guide to Shawn, because I think you need to see the measure of the man, like warts and all. It's like captivating to me in the same way the brawl out press conferences. Like, CM Punk blows up AEW, but he cuts an unbelievable promo while he's doing it. Like, like these difficult men do bizarre and unconscionable things in a wrestling context, but you want to look at it go down, you know, you kind of want to look at it.
You'll be there for the highs and the lows, don't you?
Like, the one thing, just to sort of illustrate that nothing was going to go right in this match, there was one moment that popped the fans, and it would have been like this. Oh, well, that was right. And it's Gorilla Monsoon snatching the belt away from Diana Smith to make it clear that the Bulldog hasn't nicked off with the title. And she's holding it upside down. She's stood there on that ramp and she's holding it upside down. And you're just like, nothing's gone right. Nothing. Not a single thing has gone right.
It's one of those nights. But yeah, as you say, we get the finish with the crap German suplex. And yeah, we get the stuff with the refs, which is, you know, replayed and showed in slow motion and like future TV. I still don't understand what the ref's doing. Like, why is the ref count? Like, have you never seen a German suplex before? Why are you laser focused on Shawn and not Davey? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense. And yeah, you kind of go off the air with the confusion. And they're like, for me, you know, part of like this all happening so early in Shawn's run. He's not bulletproof enough yet that you can do this with him, that you can do this finish with him, that you can, you know, make it look like he could like lose in such a crap way to a Davey Boy Smith, because that's the original result that's called. Like, it shouldn't even come close, really. They should have found another way to get out of this and come up with some other bullshit reason as for why they need to do the King of the Ring match, because this was not
so strange. You know, until you've said that, I never really considered this. We've reviewed In Your Houses where the world title main event has ended in a DQ. We're going to review another In Your House with Shawn Michaels on top this year that ends in a DQ. Right? They're not afraid to go off the air with something equally unsatisfying like a DQ or a count out or whatever. I can't fathom why this was one of those times where maybe that was it. Maybe they thought this has been such a shit show. We need to give them a finish. We need to give them a 1, 2, 3. Like, maybe that was the rationale. I don't know, but it was the wrong one.
Get him over. Rough stuff. Any other thoughts on this or the aftermath of it before we move on to night 2? It's just
a total disaster. I loved it.
You know what? It was fun to watch, and you know, again, it comes with love and Shawn. Don't get me wrong, still fucking love Shawn in this in this house of ours, and you know, the highs will come along with the lows, but yeah, the lows are just as exciting to watch. But speaking of lows, we now, for some reason, we get to the creatively named Beware of Dog 2, which it kind of just like jump cuts to, doesn't it? And all of a sudden, God, Vince has gone home. Like, what's happened here? Vince and Lawler are just gone. You'd think they'd at least, like, you know, go through the effort of putting the same clothes on and, you know, coming out and finding a way to just keep the same commentary team intact. No, Jim Ross and Kurt Hennig randomly at this point for Beware of Dog 2. Kind of tells you, doesn't it, that like maybe a lot of the company have got that Shawn attitude of like, fuck them, we'll give them the rest of their pay-per-view they've already paid for, but we've already got their money. Luckily, some of the wrestlers wouldn't have that opinion, but very much feels like the company has a little bit.
Oh yeah, the as much as I love the aesthetic, the superstars / wrestling challenge girders on that, like the hard camera facing the entrance, I love that aesthetic from like late 94 through to mid 96. But by this point, you associated it with those weekend shows, didn't you? You didn't. Nobody thought we need to like erect a mini house or anything like that. It was just the weekend shows. Well, this is what that is. So you can have that. You can lump it basically.
Well, part of this second night of recording, which meant that we did have to redo some of the matches. We kick off with a young and former ringmaster, Steve Austin, here with the $1 Million Man. He's in full. It feels like I thought it would be like a more of a gradual thing that we get to kind of enjoy across the months of like, oh, he's going to goatee now. Oh, the hair's gone now. Oh, right, he's stone cold now. Like, I was kind of looking forward to those moments happening, but just it's almost like we're here and like Stone Cold Steve Austin has been transported onto our telly screens right away here with Savio Vega, and obviously, you know, we'll get to it. You know, a match that I think has got a lot of deserved plaudits that a lot of people have a positive memory of. But yeah, it does feel like it's come very quickly. Steve Austin being a main character in our little timeline.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, he's making his In Your House debut, but again, it wouldn't even be making it under these terms had we not had the Raw in between, where DiBiase announces that he'll leave if Steve Austin loses.
Did he not? Was he not there for the first match? Did he not really? You know, we've got a spoiler here, Ted. We're re-recording the same match that we did the night before. The finish might go the same way, mate. Maybe don't threaten that. That is a weird audible to call, isn't it? Like I say, that Raw segment. It's because obviously, like you say, Raw happens on the Monday between the obviously the Sunday and the
I think your hand is noticing it, TV. I think he notifies them on TV that he's going to be going to WCW. So they wrote in this ending. And I love, whether it was an audible by Austin or whether he was directed to do so, I love the hard stare that he gives DiBiase when DiBiase makes the stipulation, because in the Austin character's mind, he's thinking, well, win or lose, I win. Because it's the first time he said, I think I want rid of you, you boring old bastard that isn't helping my career. So I like the headcanon of, oh, well, I'm going to be all right even if I lose this match. And you mentioned about Austin as well. Jim Ross, like, on commentary for Steve Austin right out the gate here, just like obsessed with talking about how the great young athletes, about the World Wrestling Federation, the newness of these fresh stars. Like, it's like he knows that something's cooking down in WCW and they're about to, it's as if he's forecast what's going to happen with the NWO, and he's like, right, I'm going to get the jump on this. We've got the young guys, we've got the fresh guys. Don't watch the stale old bread in WCW. Watch the hot young talent like Steve Austin and Savio Vega. Like, there's a bit where DiBiase's on the floor, and like they're saying, remember, like, if Austin loses, DiBiase's gone. And Jim Ross says, yeah, could you imagine anybody not wanting to work for the WWF in this industry? It's just like, great, get him, Jim.
Meanwhile, me, young 11-year-old you and 12-year-old me are sat at home nodding, going, yeah, absolutely. Why would you want to go to the competition? And it's crap. It's not the proper stuff. Say that. By the end of the year, I would sell out myself as well. But no, totally, like, Jim Ross, very clear. He's got his horses to back. And he's right about the horses he backs. You know, Foley's another big one, isn't he? That he's very much a booster of in this era. And Austin, I totally believe it's him. Like, it's absolutely him thinking, yeah, in real life terms, I would be better off without Ted in my corner. One, because I know I can talk for myself, and two, because it is a bit of a weird that I've got this old man millionaire that's knocking around with me. And two, he's already got that head on his shoulders of like, okay, if we do this angle and this match ends with, you know, Ted's big goodbye, I shouldn't be there for it. I should be out of sight, out of mind. He's always had that on his head of like, my character needs to be consistent. Every little thing I do, from like you said there, the little look he gives Ted before it, to, you know, not wanting to be around and abandoning Ted at the end of it when it's, you know, Ted's ran his mouth and you know, lost his job in WWF. That's all consistent stuff that he will know his character should do and will keep his head above water. That's what, you know, gets him ahead of everybody else over the next couple of years. But obviously we'll get to that finish. I mean, yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? That like I think we covered it when we did the Steve show over on Grapple as like one of the little hidden gems. They just had good chemistry, didn't they? Savio and Steve. And this felt like, again, even though it felt like at the time like he'd been there for years, and it's very brief, the ringmaster running the stuff with Ted. This felt like the moment where, you know, people were like, oh, you know what, he's going to get himself over here. Oh, you know what, he's something to mess with. You could imagine the Bruce Pritchards and the Vince McMahons backstage going, oh, maybe Jim Ross doesn't always talk shit, because they go out there and they have like, for a daft stip, and it's not a stipple of, you know, the strap match or the chain match or any match where the corner lights up and you got to go around you got to go around and tap all four corners and you get all your given spots. Like, they do a lot with the space they've got here, and yeah, it's I think it's Steve will say it himself, it's very key to getting him over with the office and getting him over with the fans. This match, it's really good stuff. And these are two lads who, yeah, they haven't got a face on. They're not treating it like it's a house show. They know they've maybe got a second shot at doing this match, and you know, they want to give everyone the money's worth.
Yeah, I love this match. This is I think, going ahead, I've never sat and thought about this list. I would probably put this in my top 10 Steve Austin matches, and love this. I love this match. Austin here, man, his selling is phenomenal. Again, you pointed out about his character consistencies. Steve Austin in 1996 still understood, especially as a heel, that like he had to show ass, but he was very careful and clever about how he did that. And there is particular selling choices he makes here about when to sell big and broad. And a lot of that is for the strap, because if the noise doesn't quite work, you better believe the visual of him selling is going to work. It's what John Cena thinks he's doing, where it's like the fan in row Z better understand the gravity of how violent this attack is. And Austin gives them it, and he gives them it over and over again. And you can hear it in the audience. You can hear the swell. Whenever Savio gets back on offense after Austin's had control for a bit, you can hear that swell. And so much of that, Savio's very good at it, but like so much of that is of how Austin is like reacting to the violence being enacted on him. Like I was watching this, and I don't know if it's because I was recording with you, and I was thinking about our stuff when we covered 2001. God, I wish he'd sold like this in 2001 because somebody in the Alliance might have gotten over. Like he gives himself to this, and like obviously he moves in a way of a man that hasn't yet broke his neck. I'm not being cruel to Austin's movement.
No, it's fair.
But like, my God, like just
he sells like a wounded animal, doesn't he? It's like it feels like a Jim Rossism, but you literally see him do it. Like there's a point where he bumps off a strap and he literally throws his whole body at it, like his whole. I thought the same thing. He throws his neck back in a way that it's just because we saw Steve with a bad neck work for so long that we're not used to him bumping like that or moving like that. But you kind of half understand, why he does end up getting hurt, because he throws so much into it. He's so committed to even taking bumps, isn't he? Like to do that within character and to move. It's a bit like the Jim Ross thing of like, my gimmick snake is Jim Ross, Jake Snake thing, but my gimmick snake. So I'll move like a snake. Steve moves in a very particular way and sells for Savio Vega in a very particular way.
Well, he sells on offense as well, doesn't he? He sells on offense. He realizes, they tell this really nice story throughout the match that every time that Austin tries to like mount a counter or any kind of offense, with or without the strap, Savio Vega has a counter. And the reason he has a counter is because he's got all this experience in Caribbean strap matches. And it's as if Savio's experience in the stipulation has like changed his ring IQ. And for the first time, because these two have wrestled quite a bit as part of this storyline, you're watching Austin realize that Savio Vega's ring IQ is different when they're strapped together, and he's not prepared for it, and he couldn't prepare on Sunday because they were wrestling in the dark. So he hasn't learnt the lessons from the night on Sunday. And what you're witnessing is a guy trying to like, hang on, at WrestleMania or on Superstars, I had him here. And now I don't. And he keeps countering. And it's like Steve Austin keeps forgetting that they're strapped together, and Savio never does. That spot when he launches Savio to the floor and he forgets and Austin goes with him. That's fucking brilliant. That's so clever. Like Austin commits. There's the one where he's got, the boss man rope attack where like Savio's laying on the middle rope and Austin like Jeff does it as well. Like he likes to drop the two legs on him. Austin only remembers halfway through, I cannot run off the other ropes because the strap's not long enough. I'm going to just have to run from here. And he sells so much when he's on offense of the predicament he's in, and you just buy it and you believe it. And then every time Savio counters out, it's like Savio's the Brett in a Canadian strap match, in a Caribbean strap match, and he should be. Because he's like, what? There's some daft stat, wasn't it? He's like 35-0 in Caribbean strap. But you buy it. That's the story.
That's all they do in the Caribbean, mate. The Caribbean, big place. All they do is have strap fights all day. All the streets filled with people having strap matches.
But like, that's the story the promotion sells you. So that's the story the wrestlers tell you. It's really, really well packaged. And the two of these two, like, that frigging bump where like Austin hangs him off the ropes and then jumps from the post to the floor. Well, and it's a half jumping, half getting pulled into the guardrail. Again, because Austin has forgotten for a minute and Savio never does. Fuck me. That's not just a brilliant spot in the context of this match. It's one of the best bumps Steve Austin has ever taken. It's incredible. I love this match. I love it. Sorry if I'm gushing and the order's all wrong. I think this is
it's fine. Well, I think that ties it. We'll keep the order drum because it ties into the finish. Because what I love so much about the match is that like they do use that space so well. Like I say, you have loads of these matches, and like when they gimmick it, especially in like, no offense to you, but in modern Fed, like there's enough give there that like they can do anything they want. Loads. You know what I mean? But here there's no give.
Strap in a 20-foot ring. Like what are we doing?
And they have to work it. There's no work about this. There's a real genuine struggle and a real genuine like added dynamic, you know what I mean? It's like they've managed to like add to gravity by like adding this strap and creating this other thing that like would, like you say, when they're trying to do moves together, cause things to be imperfect. Even like again, it's a spot they do in every one of these matches, but as like the heel is or usually it's the heel who's hitting the corners, isn't it? And the babyface is behind them. The Sting Vader not realizing that it's happening. They do it. You can do it the other way around too as well. But the way it's done here, like it's so messy and dirty because like it feels like Savio is literally being dragged along like by his neck by Steve. It feels like he's got nowhere to go. It just feels that level of rugged. It feels like something you shouldn't be seeing, to the point where I think it's the third one, isn't it? Oh no, it's the second one because it's not the final one. They're about to go for the third one, and like Steve hits the corner perfectly, and the bit is that Savio's following him around unbeknownst to him, and he's hitting the ropes, and Ted's on the outside panicking because this is happening, and Steve doesn't realize it's happening. But like the shoot Savio Vega can't actually reach the corner, and rather than pretend to be like, oh yeah, he got off of it, he kind of hit it, they stop, and he almost has to forcibly stop Steve. And like, again, I don't know what the element of work is and what the element of shoot it is, but it all feels like shoot, and almost force Steve to pull back just that little bit so he can just about get it. Like, it feels like this is if they are having these in the Caribbean or the Caribbean, but we're American born, they'll say the Caribbean. Like, if they're having these every day, this is probably what they look like on the streets, with the fucking a brown belt and some fucking some hubcaps and some just dirt and just grubby knees and just horrible, like blood on concrete. Like, that's what it feels like. It just feels like they're consumed by this match, and they're consumed by the space that they're supposed to be in, and nobody makes it hokey and nobody makes it pro wrestling. It feels like they're really in this real struggle.
Austin does some fantastic face acting as well, because there's a couple of times when he's got the seemingly Savio out enough to be able to go and touch four corners, but then he's having obviously physically drag Savio, and he's got like, fuck's sake, like etched across his face.
I've got to put effort into this now. Christ.
Like, and then he does that thing where like, and you cannot wait to watch it happen, because you realize before Austin, there's a bit where like he steps over the strap so that basically he's kind of straddling the strap, and what Savio's going to do, which is going to pull it up and like half low blow Austin, stop the four turnbuckles, and you realize Austin's made the mistake, and you're like, fucking get him, Savio, and he just whips him and pulls the strap up, and it's not a ball shot as such, it's like a counter move with the strap, and it's because Austin's placed his legs in such a way that he's left himself vulnerable for Savio to again have the ring IQ of this match makes sense to him. It's not Steve's forte, and I just so much of that, and I thought it was so intelligently worked. And for again, like there's a point at which like when, as you say, when it gets to the shootout and Austin's just dragging Savio along, DiBiase has only spotted it by the third, hasn't he? So they've even done it where Austin has thought, well, what if DiBiase is seeing this from the first turnbuckle? Like, that'd make me look stupid.
Because I'd be looking at him, I'd see it. Yeah,
I'd see it. So Ted DiBiase's like hot dogging, and he's like, so he's only spotted it by the third. And at this point, Austin's so tunnel vision at that fourth. Why would he be looking at Ted DiBiase to get the advice that he needs? It's like, I think this is really, really strong work from both. Austin always talks about Savio, and it's generous, but he's always like complimentary to the weird wrestler stuff, isn't he? He's always like, fun on the road. He helped me with my cardio. Like Savio was a guy that got me into WWE shape. And I was like, can you talk about him as a worker a bit? Because I think you two have crafted something really quite awesome here. Like, I don't know, the WrestleMania match as well. Sorry, the WrestleMania match as well is now to write home about. So there's no suggestion that they're going to make a bit of magic here. And like, I think they really do. They make magic here.
They've thought all those things through. Austin's thought through, like, what will my character do in this moment? As he does in every moment, my character would think he can just fight his way through it, without having to use the skill and the knowledge that, like, a Savio Vega's on it. Or, it ends up being, like, a bit of an undoing for him. Like you say, he's thought, I had that exact note, like, he's thought through, or what would happen, what would DiBiase be doing in the moments when we're going through, like, the spot when we're both hitting at the same time. Like, he's thought about, even, like you say, to the detail of which direction that we're facing in. It's just brilliant stuff. It really is. Like, there's a few spots in here I love, like Austin. I always love Austin throwing the stun gun in, just because it's a little nod back to WCW past. But again, because they're tied together, because of like the belt, like that makes that look a little bit more rugged than it usually does. I love, obviously, in that build to the finish, using the $1 million dream, which again I'm glad Austin leaves behind, because just shit in it, really. It's like, I don't even think it was that good to be, really. It's just it's just all those little.
You could even play it like in headcanon that Austin threw the match. Like, he's the one that throws Savio into the buckler. He's like, I'm sick of DiBiase. Fuck you. Go on then. Like, in the Steve Austin character, Austin's already figured out his out if he needs one. Like,
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
And the real Steve knows like how much little brother does it make you look like you do when your manager's finisher. Like, come on, like it's just crap in it. Like, it's like you need to be your own man. You need to like stand out. And on both levels, he's understood it. I totally share your enthusiasm for it. It's just so they've just maybe like you say, thinking about it, Mania, they don't quite have that level of chemistry, but here with this type of match, they absolutely do, and you can, like you say, see why Steve talks in such glowing terms about Savio Vega, and like he does Savio Vega as well. Like he's somebody, not necessarily long for this timeline, but like he's just someone who he really added something as like that undercard likable babyface who you could pop in these roles with someone like a Steve who's clearly on the ascent, and he's someone who he's not going to be on top, but he can be raised as a little buddy. He can be so-and-so's little tag team partner. He always fit that role, and it was a thankless role.
I could never, ever step into Matty Edwards' shoes in any regards in life, but I'll try if I can here, Benno. Do you want a little bit of time on Ted DiBiase here? It's not an age game. It's not an age game. It's just a couple of little stats that I thought you might find interesting. So Ted DiBiase, Austin wins, Austin loses, and then that means Ted's gone. And it's the first example in WWF of the goodbye song that apparently Vincent Mann always really liked, and he would always get Jim Ross to
play the actual song. They literally play the song. I was like, fucking hell, can you afford this, lads? It's 1996.
Pipe the song through the building. And Ted DiBiase sells his way to the back, and off he goes to WCW and all of that. But like Jim Ross, like I think kind of, he says something like, you better get the checkbook out and see what else he can buy. If only you knew what they're going to tell you that he bought in character, Jim. But it does feel like a bit of an end of an era, doesn't it? Like, even though it's kind of an underwhelming one for Ted DiBiase. So this ends, Benno, Ted DiBiase's 9-year run in the WWE, okay? For contrast, as he's a topical figure at the moment, Ron the Truth Killings, to call him by his new WWE superstar name, has currently been with WWE 17 years, right? So that's 8 years longer than this DiBiase run, when you're basically saying goodbye to a legacy player in 1996. But I thought, R-Truth, Miz, we know there's some long stayers. Try this one on for size, right? 9 years, but that does account for a 3-year gap where DiBiase had stopped wrestling. So it was like manager, commentator, whatever. 6 years the wrestler. 6 years the wrestler, Ted DiBiase in WWE. Such as Bronson Reed in WWE in 2025 has now put in the same amount of wrestler years as Ted DiBiase did.
Fucking, that feels like it hasn't even started yet.
And that's terrifying. Seth Rollins' baby Jeff Cobb understudy has now got the same ring time as Ted DiBiase.
You'll never have a run like our Ted did. Jesus Christ, you need an IRS as a tag team partner, maybe. Like, if you'd asked me, like, I believe the corporate. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, it makes sense when I think about it logically, but like it does feel like, obviously the 80s feel like 2 decades ago, but the corporation run feels like it ran 3 decades itself. That's how fucking bad and boring it was, and how like I'm glad to be moving on from that generation. But like, time moved differently, didn't it, in the 80s and 90s? Jesus Christ, might as well have been 6 decades.
Yeah, they almost never won. It's fitting that he went out on a defeat, because we didn't see much else of them. I remember Sid beating Henry Godwin, and I can barely remember any other corporation wins.
Oh, well, they get their money out of the Tame Corporation. Vince would get to play the $1 Million Man role that he always wanted to play later on. But yeah, it is. I mean, I was going to say it is notable that they give him like the whole. It almost feels loving in a way, like as you say there. You know, with him giving notice on that Raw, like, and then leaving and then going to the WCW, you'd think there'd be a little bit more hate behind it, like, or he just like disappeared off TV is probably the more likely scenario if it happened today. Instead, like, they give him, it's a proper send off, really, isn't it? It's like it's a proper heel send off, because like it's not like he's got boo boo face or anything like that. Like, he plays it up, doesn't he? Like, he reacts to the crowd and gets all cartoonish and clownish about how mad. Again, that's probably another reason Steve's done a runner to leave him to it, because it doesn't really fit the Stone Cold Steve Austin character that would come. But he proper comedies it up, doesn't Ted? Like, he proper like puts his energy into it and gives the crowd their little moment, and gives Vince his little moment to enjoy his daft little song. It's a strange spectacle.
you've got to think that if Vince McMahon was the man that thought Randy Savage had outlived his usefulness in 1994, never in a million years did he think that without like a millionaire gimmick, WCW were going to do anything with Ted DiBiase. Like, it's so funny to think about like what was around the corner when Ted DiBiase, what possible purpose could a former fake rich man serve down there? I love how that works out over and over again.
You're probably thinking, they're going to try and put him in the ring or something like that. Nope. Yeah. You go from a millionaire to a billionaire to a trillionaire. But yeah, there you go. And still, even me at 12 years old, just still didn't put it together that this was supposed to be a WWF invasion. I just thought they all liked to hang out with each other and they knew each other from years ago. Didn't think about it in those terms whatsoever. But yeah, he gets his big goodbye, and obviously, we are showing a bit of footage of it, as I mentioned earlier, of Shawn Michaels chatting with fans and in the AIM chat room. I was IWF New Jack. They were always fun, those AIM chat rooms. No way Shawn knew what he was doing. He's got that bit, hasn't he? He always does. Whenever he's in front of a computer, he pretends he doesn't know how to press buttons. That's the Shawn in front of a computer bit that we get here, very clearly taped at a different time than the previous night. And then we get Vader versus Yokozuna up next. Obviously, Vader is very much Camp Cornette at this point, and obviously, we've got Yokozuna as the baby face here, as we talked about last time. They do the whole angle, don't they, with Vader trying to snap Yoko's leg. Yoko goes a bit of I guess it's usually a heel goatee, isn't it? He gets a bit of a face beard or a face bit of stubble. He looks just that little bit different to the face. And I will say in the preview to this on Housekeeping, I did say I looked at the cage match and the rating was a little bit higher than I would have expected it to be. I'll probably say it should have been a bit lower. But it was always going to be ugly when you got these two out here, especially with Yoko attempting to be a babyface, and especially with the Yoko of 1996 we've got here with the fucking size of the man.
Oh, he's massive, and he like this must have been right around the time, or maybe just before, Jim Ross sent him to like a weight loss camp, and then found out they were sneaking off to go get food together, like Vader and Yokozuna. That's the story, isn't it? This was increasingly like the Yokozuna thing was becoming an admin problem, wasn't it? They were finding that there were some states that wouldn't like allow him to wrestle. Yeah. So it wasn't just that like they were worried about his health, which I think is a grey area anyway, because they would have been at some point encouraging him to get big and dangerous, and probably the company have probably got something to do with how his eating spiraled out of control. But like not for tax purposes or whatever, but for health and safety purposes, it was getting to the point where Yokozuna was like problematic for them to book in certain places.
You have to pay for an extra seat on the plane, daft stuff like that. Couldn't get him past the athletic commissions in different states. Yeah, it was more effort than it was worth at this point, which is mad, 'cause it's almost something they would have encouraged at a point. Like, it was literally the gimmick, wasn't it? It was literally the thing that got him over. He's fat. Like, that was the whole point of it. But yeah, it's very clearly out of control at this point.
And like, do you know what I had? I had memories of this being a real turkey. And then I thought in the first minute, I was like, maybe I was wrong about this, because I love fat wrestlers. Like, when fat wrestlers move, like, and make you forget just how big they are, you imagine what it would be to see a person that big in real life just walking down the street, and then imagine them like charging across a 20-foot bit of space, and just think that's amazing, or like fall into their asses or their backs and then getting back up again and spread, like earthquake bumping and feeding for Hulk Hogan. That is, I want to look at that. I want to watch that.
There's a skill to that.
And and Vader, to his credit, when they fight, he stalls and stalls and stalls and stalls and stalls and stalls. And then when they finally do the charge, the first bump he takes off the first Yokozuna charge is exactly that. Like, he hits that deck. It's like a light switch bump from Vader, and another one all the way at the top, and that's two in a row. And you're like, here we go. Right, this is going to be one of those really entertaining big guy things. And I wish the power had gone out again. I wish the satellite feed had got out of Beware a Dog 2, because that's where the good stuff ended for me after this opening exchange. It was as if that was all that Yoko had in the tank and all that Vader was prepared to do.
Oh, I was going to ask you, who do you prefer trying to do limb work? Hunter Hearst Helmsley in 1996 or Vader? Because it's kind of what he does. He kind of tries. I mean, I think a lot of it's just the fact that Yoko would rather be on his arse. Roko would rather be lying down, and he can lie down. If he can put his leg on the rope, then there you go. That's about the amount of like effort it gets it. Like I don't think it overstays its welcome. It's not like it's about the right length this match should be, but even that length is probably just too much for Yoko, and yeah, he feels more comfortable in that position. And like I say, Vader, limb work, all jokes aside, is not exactly Vader's forte here. It's almost like by the third attempt he's trying to think, look, what can I do to this knee? Could I guess I could sit on it again. Can I DDT it? Like, he's just trying to think of anything he can do because he doesn't know any moves. And it's just, but that was going to happen. It was always going to be this ugly when you put these two together. That's the problem is the idea. It's not even their fault. Both of them have got obviously the day when it comes to working with different guys, but definitely wasn't the optimum use of Yoko at this point.
He does that elbow to the leg spot like twice, doesn't he? And it's like, it's because of Yoko hasn't moved. The blocking is even the same, to the point where you would think you tapered, skipped or repeated or something, because it is identical. Like this is, I don't want this to be an agenda thing where every month I bury Vader, right? But ask yourself this: is there a spot in this match? Is there a spot in this match as impressive, other than the Vader bomb for the finish? Is there a spot in this match as impressive in the middle of it as the flying clothesline between Mabel and Yokozuna in Your House 4? I would argue that there's not. That is what I want from two massive lads flinging themselves into each other. And I don't think these two make it until Vader hits it. Like, the Vader bomb was such an awesome finisher. Of course it was. But that's it. That's like, it's another bad night for Vader. Again, the agent in, I think they've already gotten bored of him. I genuinely think, company-wide, they already think they've paid money for nothing, because he is agented as a total coward. Like, he's frightened of Yokozuna, and he's opportunistic, and he gets the Vader bomb when he kind of sneaks the advantage. This isn't Vader.
Like, and what's the thing that gets most over in this match? It's Jim Cornette, isn't it? It's almost like he's a vehicle or another monster of the week to be in Cam Cornette, and he's there for that. He's there for that reason. He's there to save Cornette when Yoko tries to squash him, and that's really the point of the match, rather than getting Vader over in his own merits. It feels like that. And I think even just like you say there about sending them off to to fat camp, and hoping they haven't booked a fat camp that happens to be near a Panda Express. Like, they're lumping them together already. They're treating them like it's the same thing, aren't they? When they are two different beasts. It just feels like some of these. What have you signed? If you haven't signed Vader to be a big man, it's not like he's Yoko. It's just it's one of those where I think as the year goes on, I think you might be proven right here. It might not be a one-off some of the performances we see from Vader through the year, but there isn't much more to the match really. You just say Vader, it's like a running splash on the leg. It's the Vader bomb, pins Yoko, and that's that really. And they try to tell a story, but it's there's only so much you can do with the pieces you've got. At this point, they do throw to a bit of an ad for King of the Ring 1996 coming up in June as well. Again, feels like it's a bit of a shit. This has gone so badly. Let's force this and sell it as hard as we can. There's a better pay-per-view coming soon as well. Yeah, it's got Davey and Shawn in the main event again, but it's still good. It's still good. Look, there's a shiny King of the Ring 1996 going on. It's still good. It's still good. They do the best, and obviously talk about Vader's got a bye, hasn't he, through to the next round that gets announced there as well. But very much desperate stuff, and then we go from there into obviously Goldust making his entrance for our main event, and this is the point where I was like watching it going, all right, very clearly they're giving them a house show, because what is the definition of the house show main event on these shows that we've been watching? Or it's like, oh, this is a match just for the crowd. It's fucking Undertaker in another casket match, isn't it? And like you say, they've done a little bit of creative work for the first night with Goldust and Undertaker, and obviously Goldust as Intercontinental Champion has got a bit of a juice at this point. Undertaker going for the belt is a little bit of an interest at the moment. It's like, oh yeah, okay, Undertaker happens to be interested in the Intercontinental title, but very much here to get over the obviously the Mankind stuff we get to with the finish and the Paul Bearer drama that comes later as well, and very much an avenue for we can't put Shawn in the main event again, so what can the main event be? Well, these house show crowds seem to enjoy a casket match with Mark on top. Let's do that.
Yeah, like it's I can really appreciate the overlap in here, because they do the Goldust Undertaker story, and we're going to get more of it. I don't want it any more than you, but we're going to get more of it. But it never felt like it really existed for anything other than servicing the Undertaker Mankind, which was real deal, and you could feel it at the time. I remember instantly this felt like, again, like we talk about our age at this point, like 11, 12 years old. You weren't armed with the language of why Undertaker Mankind was the best thing you'd ever seen the Undertaker do, but you knew it was, and you could feel it. There was something different in the air. So when he's fighting Goldust here, it's a backdrop for that. Simultaneously, we've obviously got Goldust and Ahmed that we're going to get to. It's nicely constructed, all of this. Goldust's character is like in storyline, getting out of control. He's the Intercontinental Champion. He's willing to step to the Undertaker. He's willing to step to Ahmed Johnson, and he's going to have to pay for these sort of, there's obviously latent homophobia. It's 1996. But Goldust, the heel,
but he's getting over.
He's going to have to pay for his perceived crimes. But look, he's formed a weird bond with the scariest, most dangerous wrestler in the whole company, in Mankind. So maybe Goldust isn't as easy pickings as you thought he was. Now, as far as like an overlapping mid card goes, I mean, I like it a lot more than the match, put it like that. But I do like the sort of the overlapping narrative quite a lot here.
Yeah, and I like the little kind of chemistry that like Goldust and Mankind have. Like I remember the magazine do a whole bit, don't they, on and what the relationship is, and like it's like Goldust keeps the whole mommy stuff. That's it. Yeah, he keeps lets Mankind just like live in his little boiler room. Which as a kid I was like, what's a boiler room? Why have all these Americans got boiler rooms? It doesn't really make any sense. But it is. It's a funny little double act because he's all shiny and he's this dirty little rodent, basically Mankind, isn't it? That Goldust getting to do all his bidding. Like you can see the thinking there, and that was the one note I was going to have. Like the matches, it's the shits. It's an Undertaker main event without Mick Foley fully in it, and it's a fucking casket match, so the spots you're gonna get. We get a casket cam that makes things a little bit more interesting. You've got the magic of Aldous Foley getting into the casket that you can kind of get into. Outside of that, it's very your turn, my turn, teasing, throwing each other into the casket. But I think the positive you can say is that Goldust has gotten over to this point. You think about his introduction, that Marty match we talked about, the Warrior mess last month where they tried to give him Mantor as a bodyguard. Despite all that, he's continued to click. Despite all that, the double act with Marlene is click. The trying things, like I say, the alliance with Mankind kind of is a new wrinkle on it as well. He's very clearly an over heel, for the spot. You can trust him to go out there, and have a match with Undertaker here as like your quasi main event for the second part of it. Like I think he's the positive end of this story, even if it's more Undertaker that I'm not necessarily keen for in '96.
Yeah, that's the match itself. It's the same as it always was and always will be with the Undertaker. Unless you're an Undertaker fan, there's almost nothing to pick at. I got one note. Undertaker hits a really big high leg drop. Looks good. Yeah. And Jim Ross says there is nothing like seeing the World Wrestling Federation live. And I thought off the back of a leg drop that was quite pointed. Like JR loved them little digs. But just on, we've both kind of talked around it, I guess, but on the finish where Mankind emerges from the casket, and that's how Goldust wins and retains his title, obviously. The histrionics after the fact, where like Mankind locks Undertaker in, and it's like, right, job done, and that's what Undertaker did to the Ultimate Warrior all those years ago. That's what Yokozuna had to get 10 people to do, and Mankind's done it by himself and his claw. That's all it's taken. He's managed to like sort of lock the Undertaker in a casket, and Goldust, shitty Goldust, has beaten the Undertaker thanks to Mankind. Like Mankind is so impactful in the Undertaker's life here in a way that no other heel has been. And then when they open the casket and the Undertaker's gone, it's a different kind of histrionics. Like Paul Bearer, I think, does a really good job of selling this. Like he's initially scared to try and he's just human. Paul Bearer is human. Help, get the Undertaker out. And then the Undertaker's gone, and Paul Bearer doesn't know why. And if there was one person that could always explain the Undertaker's magic, it was Paul Bearer. And this Mankind feud has even like dragged Paul Bearer into the deep water. So later on in the year, when Paul Bearer returns, you can kind of see why this Mankind's starting to make sense to me.
It thinks like the money's on the other side, yeah.
Yeah, like me and the Undertaker are no longer on the same page, and the Undertaker keeps getting beat. And it's at the King of the Ring, isn't it, where he hits him with the urn by mistake, and it's like we're not what we were. But this guy, there's this darkness that I've been missing with the dead man, and I love this Undertaker Mankind story. I really do. Like, I'm excited for us to get to talk about at least one of the matches on this. Well, a couple we get, but on this journey along the way, because I mean, he saves his fucking life, doesn't he, Mankind? Like there can be no debate that he saves this guy's run.
There is literally there's multiple Undertakers, but like at this point there's two Undertakers. There's the Undertaker that slow motion walks his way through casket matches like this one, and then there's the Undertaker that's like in there with Foley, and Foley just drags something out of him. And like you say, it's a give and take relationship, because to get Foley to that point, to make him a threat, Undertaker has to show a little bit of arse. Undertaker has to take this smaller guy who's just dangerous for reasons because he's willing to do whatever, and make that believable, because it helps him too. It's like it's the Sting and Foley thing, when Sting got paired with Foley and had to work with him in the 90s. Foley always says it, like Sting was kind of look at him and, why have I got to work with this piece of shit Cactus Jack, really? And then Sting slowly reasoned, he's gonna have good matches with me, that's going to get me more over, all right, I should help him too. And yeah, to his credit, that is like clearly something that goes through Undertaker's head as well, because it's his career rival, I'll say. And I'm not even counting like the Hell in a Cell. Like, I don't necessarily as a match, I find that hard to rate, 'cause it's not really a match, it's a couple of big bumps, isn't it? But as like an actual wrestler, when we get to the matches themselves, by far his best work, and way more interested in him seeing him have casket matches with Kawhi.
Yeah, 100% agree. And like, this is where, I think it's easy to just be like, well, Foley saved The Undertaker because this feud did. But you're right as well. We're always going to go in two-footed on Mark. So it's worth giving him a bit of credit as well. He does. If you sort of count this as well, and maybe because Mankind is directly responsible for him losing it, he effectively does 3 pay-per-view jobs to Mick Foley. Like, nobody got on The Undertaker ever like that. Like, three jobs in 1996 on pay-per-view to Mick Foley. And you're just thinking, well, you must have understood that Mankind needed this as well, and you're going to know that you get to win in the end, so your character will be fine, or you'll come out the other side, or whatever. And I just think he seemed as invested in as Mick was in making this work, and it's magic when that happens in wrestling. Must be the two of them. Like, Foley himself must have been so relieved that it was going so well that he immediately earned his respect, and it was like, we could do real business here. And like Mark Calloway himself must have been so relieved that Foley was ready to give his body to it. Like, the amount of stuff he must have been pitching, and Foley would have gone, yeah, do that to me. And he's gone, all right, then I'll do that to you. Everyone's winning, aren't they? Everybody's winning. There you go. It's big for everyone. And even we win, because we get to actually say some nice things about the dead man coming up. It's a shocker, but yeah, there is some positive to come. But yeah, the show plays out, obviously, with Undertaker's music playing in the background as Paul Bearer looks on, not understanding what's happening. And that's your lot. What a mess of a show. I think this is the first one where it's been I think probably a bad show where you can't look at it and go, Shawn or Brett saved it though. I think it's a bad show that was saved by Rubberneck and Shawn. I think that's that's our out on this one. But yeah, it's the mess that it was. It's worth seeing, isn't it? It's worth seeing the Shawn stuff just to get to see it. And I like the Stelsey Matt Mero match, I wouldn't say go see Vader and Yoko, but I think there's noteworthy stuff there for the stories that are about to come and where we're about to go with In Your House 9 and like I say, King of the Ring as well. Thank God we're not reviewing King of the Ring. I'm not sure I can sit through another Big Davey match. Famous last words, perhaps. Aye. Yeah, there's always more Davey to come, even when you don't want it. I'm thinking, I haven't quite worked out how I'm gonna brand it or whatever yet. But after Good Friends, Better Enemies, it felt like we had 3 matches, maybe 4, because I loved Shawn and Owen from Rage in the Cage. But those matches that you put in that elite tier, that better than everything else. And it was Jeff and Shawn, it was Brett and Davey, Shawn and Owen. It's Shawn and Diesel, and I think Austin and Savio goes in that pack as well. I would honestly say, of all of these, there's only so much that puts its head above the parapet, and I would include Austin and Savio in that collection of the Shawn and Brett, as you say, the show savers. Yeah, fair enough. I think I'd love it on that level. I don't know how much. Is it underrated, overrated? I'm not really sure, but it's always one I think about. Yeah. There we go. Well, there you go. Maybe it's Steve taking the role of Brett and Shawn going forwards, because we will need him when we get into it to 97 and 98. But yeah, obviously that brings us to the end of this episode. Obviously, we got a housekeeping coming up in 2 weeks. We'll be having a chat, and obviously I'll let you do the full plug on the 5-star match review that'll be contained within that one. And then obviously after that, we've got the wonderful In Your House 9 coming up, which is I wonder what big singles match
matches in the main event for that one. Oh, Jim's back. We got that to look forward to, as well as an Undertaker Goldust rematch. But I think Steve will help us out in the undercard of that one as well.
It only gets more exciting, man. We're a long way from the bust, but we're nowhere near the boom. This is a whole different kind of hinterland to look forward to. But yes, in the meantime, we will have a housekeeping before that. And if you want to be a part of that, you can do so by leaving us a 5-star review on any of your podcast apps, and then leave us a 5-star match review in the comments box with your 5-star review. Leave us that rating, and within the comments, leave us any sort of request for a match. It could be from the New Generation era, but not on an In Your House that we're covering. It could be featuring one of the key wrestlers from this era, an Undertaker, an Austin, and the like. It could be featuring CM Punk, who remains as contentious here in June 2025 as he does any other point in his career, because me and Benno like any excuse to talk about him. Or it could be anything, even from the Golden Era. We've recently covered Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior, and it was brilliant going back and looking at that as well. Leave us a 5-star review, stick your match in with it, and you will get a shout out, a name check, and a customized review from myself and Benno on the next edition of Housekeeping.
There we go. And until then, hey Michael, where can people find more of your work and follow you in such good places?
I'm at Michael Hamflett on X, formerly Twitter, for all the usual stuff. And if you search my name with @WhatCulture, if you're not familiar by now, the What Culture Wrestling podcast, we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Collision every single week, as well as doing roundtables and all that kind of good stuff that you would expect. Those podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. That's What Culture Wrestling. I'll search my name at Michael Hamflett.
Fantastic stuff. Well, for me, obviously, says Grapple No E, and you will find our podcasts everywhere. We'll have reviews out this week of Money in the Bank, Worlds Collide, and most notably, what Matty's reaction is to Jey Uso losing the big one and moving down to the mid card, and somewhere in there something about CM Punk selling out. I'm sure I'll be chatting this week as well. We'll also have some Terry 93 coming up. We're looking at Hulk Hogan's 1993, and there might be a little fun follow up to that one that might involve some people you know. So look forward to that too. But that's all going on at patreon.com/grapple, youtube.com/grapple, and you can follow me at Benson Richard E and see lots of pictures of geckos and cheap food and drink in the Vietnam area. Should be here for a couple of months, so plenty of that to come. But until next time, thanks for the house, folks.